evening. Welcome into the Pro Hoops Draft Show. Brandon Snide here with you. Charlie Usen as well. Brian Butch, former NBA center, Badger legend. He will join the program in a little bit as we get things rolling here before the NBA draft gets started. As we all know, the big headline of the draft is not really who's going to get selected tonight, or it will be. Now it will be, because the Bucks did decide late last night, Charlie, to trade away Giannis. So we're going to dive into that. We'll give you our thoughts, our reactions to the trade last night that did send away the two-time MVP for the Milwaukee Bucks over the last 13 years. We'll get into those thoughts and feelings. You're welcome to join the program all night long. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Fan Talk and text line. And as the draft gets started, Charlie, myself, Brian Butch, we will go live to each pick. We will react to each pick. We will either celebrate what the Bucks do at number 10 or not celebrate or question. And we will also do that at number 13. And Charlie, they might not be, they might have more. We'll see what happens over the course.
Or less if they decide to maybe surprise us a little bit and move up.
Or less. That is a real possibility. I like the way you think. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the big news that shook the NBA world late last night, Giannis to Milwaukee. We had seen the reports. We had heard the rumors. We weren't exactly sure what was true, what wasn't true, what teams were actually being serious, what teams were not being serious. It turns out, Charlie, the Miami Heat were very, very serious as they acquired not only Giannis, Bobby Portis included in that trade package as well. On the other side, the Bucks do receive Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Kaspargis, Yakachonis. I love saying that name.
Kaspargis Yakachonis. Yes.
Yakachonis.
Like say it at all.
I practiced. Full disclosure. I'm like, well, Mitch was calling him Casper today, so I think that's just going to be the name. So we'll just go Casper Yakachonis, which they didn't want to include him in that trade, but they did eventually include him and send him over to Milwaukee. The Bucks also receiving the 13th pick in tonight's draft to go along with number 10. They get a 2030 first round pick swap, a 2031 first round pick, 2033 first round pick, and a 2033 second round pick as well. Charlie, I had put my phone down probably 20 minutes before this was all announced, and I'm laying in bed. I fell asleep. I woke up. I usually don't wake up in the middle of the night. However, I woke up. I looked at my phone. It was 2:10, and I said, I'm going to open it. Like, something woke me up. I said, something just feels off. So I went ahead and unlocked the phone, had one eye open at 2:00 in the morning. And sure enough, I had 8 ESPN notifications, 13 unread text messages. So I assumed, okay, well, hopefully everybody's okay. Because usually if somebody's texting you that late at night, usually something tends to not be going good. And I suppose it wasn't good in the sports world. So everybody reacting at my phone. And again, I fell asleep about 20 minutes before it went down, and sure enough, it did go through as Sham Sharani of ESPN reporting it, and everybody in the NBA world reporting it. Charlie, take me back, and I know you just got off Wisconsin Sports Daily, heard here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, daily 2 to 5 p.m. Your initial reaction to seeing that trade was what?
I think it was just kind of overall disappointment. If I'm going to be completely honest, it wasn't like shock. It wasn't anything. I slept in a little later than you did before I saw the alert. My girlfriend gets up around like 6:30, so I just get up with her. I check my phone right away. I didn't see the ESPN reports right away, so like I saw a couple of ESPN notifications and I didn't see, oh, Giannis was traded. I was like, okay, maybe we made it through the night without it. And then I saw the notification on Twitter for the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network going live on Inside Wisconsin Sports, and it says Giannis to the Heat, and I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Like, as much as I knew this was going to happen, as much as I think this was probably in the long term the right decision for the Milwaukee Bucks, I wanted to see Giannis finish his career as a Milwaukee Buck. Like, as childish as that sounds, as glass half full as that sounds, it just made me sad to see that. I went back. I have tons of videos from when I was at Game 6 in the Deer District, watching the game and having this whole place just erupt, how cool that felt. Like, it was just disappointing, even though I understood that this kind of had to happen for the Bucks right now.
I'm curious where Bucks fans stand with this trade, with Giannis, the future of the organization, how they reflect on the legacy of number 34. Nicolay Fan Talk and text line open all night long. We're here till 9 p.m. or at least until the Brewer game ends. 414-677-1250. We'll read your text. We'll take your calls. We'll get your reactions Obviously, we're going to talk about the NBA draft. We're going to give you the prospects we're keeping our eye on. We're going to give you our prospects that we hope that the Bucks could potentially get lucky enough to land in the draft, and we'll see if news gets, breaks a little bit closer to the top of the hour where the NBA draft will get rolling here, as the Bucks own the number 10 and at number 13. As of right now, there is some rumors that is potentially being shopped around for Milwaukee, for John Horst. I saw a report, I think it was Kevin O'Connor over at Yahoo Sports, saying the Bucks wanted to climb into the top 5. So we'll see if that's probably a very unrealistic expectation, I think, if you're a Bucks fan. But I'm with you, Charlie, on it. And I think, you go back to Jim Owczarski, I believe, had it. It was either Jim O or Eric Name in September during training camp when it was getting ready to get started for the Bucks. And there was the media day. And it was that weird, I don't know if you remember, Charlie, that awkward back and forth of Wes Eden said he met with Giannis in the offseason. Then Giannis was asked the same question, and he said, I never met with anybody.
That, yeah.
And from that moment, it just felt like you were trying to fit a square peg in a round hole all season long. Like, it just, something was off. And then you get, the reporters asking Giannis, what, are you curious about, seeking a trade out of Milwaukee? Do you think you can win here? And then Giannis had that weird answer where it was, well, my agent can do what he wants. And I'm like, from that moment, it just felt like that just didn't feel normal. It didn't feel right. It just felt like it just felt off, is the best way to put it. Now, obviously, the product on the court speaks for itself. It was abysmal all season long under Doc Rivers, who eventually, would eventually leave at the end of the year, and they would bring in Taylor Jenkins, but it just never felt good. Then at the trade deadline, Charlie, you get Giannis not moved, right? And Shams going on ESPN and kind of not really backtracking, but just saying the future of Giannis is still rather cloudy, a little murky. Trying to kind of just reclarify, even though they were interested in making some sort of trade, because there were discussions with the New York Knicks, as I mentioned before the season began. That was according to multiple beat reporters for the Milwaukee Bucks. There were actual discussions had. I'm guessing the Knicks are thankful they didn't go through with that after what they just accomplished this summer. And it just felt like all year long, it felt like Giannis was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then when the trade deadline finally passes, and as you mentioned, Shams kind of reclarifies everything that he said or didn't say. And then you get a couple of tweets from Giannis, Charlie, and one is the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not bleeping going anywhere. Legends. And then the other one is legends don't chase, they attract. And then you're like, okay, like, I think we're in the clear, right? As a Bucks fan, we're like, I think this is our guy that we're going to have here for the foreseeable future. He's going to, he's got the Supermax will be offered to him potentially on October 1st when he is eligible, and when the Bucks are able to officially give him that. And then as the offseason kind of went along, it just kept getting cloudier and murkier, and you kept hearing teams getting involved. You heard, obviously, Miami was involved. Miami has always kind of wanted to be involved. Then you got more serious offers from Boston. Then you heard Jaylen Brown was being shopped around. And then it was like, I got to the point for me mentally where I was like, okay, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen at some point. I had to wrap my brain around what this was going to look like. I was here pre-Giannis. I'm going to be here post-Giannis. I knew it was going to come to an end, but you never really think about it until it actually hits you. And then it's all of a sudden, boom, it's right there in front of you. And the Bucks have to move on, of course, without Giannis as they make a deal with the Miami Heat. I want to talk about the pie chart of blame, if you will, Charlie, with me. On 9 to Noon, we call it the pie chart of blame.
All right.
And usually when something bad happens, obviously when you're blaming somebody, we do it with the Packers. We did it with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love when they fell apart there in Chicago and their season abruptly came to an end. And I kind of want to do it a little exercise when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis, the front office, and where the blame sort of falls on. And I think, full disclosure, I think everybody is to blame in this. I don't think anybody is innocent. That includes number 34. I don't think the front office is necessarily, innocent as well, although I think they did everything they possibly could do. But I'm curious where you, Charlie, fit, and I'm curious where the listeners fit in. You can share your thoughts on the Nicolay Fan Talk and text line 414-677-1250. Where's your pie chart of blame? You got the ownership, Charlie, you got the front office, and you got Giannis. And you only got one championship in the 13 years that Giannis was here, I only say one, Charlie. I never thought we would have one, to be quite honest with you. We weren't even sure if we were going to have a basketball team beyond where they were going to potentially move to Seattle. So obviously, I say that, and it sounds a little spoiled. The goal was always to have one more, especially when they won it in 21, and you had that core returning of Jrue Holiday, Giannis, and Chris Middleton. You thought, okay, they're probably going to at least get to another finals. That obviously didn't come through. Injuries played a big factor of it. Where does your pie chart of blame fall when it comes to those three pieces? You got Giannis, you have the ownership, and you have the front office.
I think the front office and John Horst probably get the smallest piece of the blame for me. I think they've done everything they could over the past 13 years to help build Giannis to what he is today and give him the pieces around him to win that one championship that we're talking about. I said this earlier on Wisconsin Sports Daily. I felt like John Horst, this whole scenario, the way it played out, was the best case of the worst case scenarios for him. I think there wasn't really a way where he was going to end up probably feeling comfortable after this deal with his job with the Milwaukee Bucks. But I think this is the best situation for him to say, hey, look, Jimmy Haslam had his hands all over this. The ownership had their hands all over this. They kind of forced my hand in doing this. I'm doing what I can. I gave them a ton of pieces that they can work with now. If it doesn't work out, you can't blame me because I did what I could. And I think because of that, he gets the smallest piece. They get the smallest piece. I think Giannis is probably the second piece then in my mind. I hate just siding with the owners in a lot of situations, especially situations like this where it just felt like they didn't have a true direction in any part of this. Throughout the entire time, it felt like you had half of the room saying, hey, let's shop him, let's get rid of him, let's move on from this distraction now, while the other half is holding on to what they know and what they've seen in the past and what's worked for them. And it just felt like there was almost no communication until Jimmy Haslam beat down the other owners and got what he wanted at the end of the day. And I think Giannis, what frustrates me the most is that he was just playing a game of semantics throughout all of this. And he kept saying, yes, I want to be in Milwaukee. I love being here. I've made family here and I've left family here. These are all things that are super important to me. The whole time not talking about basketball related things and then talking to the media like they're talking about his personal life and not talking about basketball related things, which I think was kind of bogus. At the same time, I understand from a business perspective for him wanting to win another championship, that means a lot to him. And I think that that's a choice he deserves to make as somebody in this career that's what happened. So I don't think he gets the most blame, but I thought he could have gone about it better. The ownership for their lack of decisiveness, and because it just felt like they didn't really have that direction moving forward until somebody trumped the other person, they get the most blame for me.
Yeah, and again, it's obviously sad, right? It is a sad day. I am overall happy, and that was kind of thrown off a little bit this morning on 9 to noon because I did say I was happy because I'm happy that this is over with. Like, I'm happy that we have a solution, we have an answer, we have an idea of what the Bucks could potentially, right? Like, we know now, okay, we know the direction the Bucks are going in. It may not be the most fun direction that the Bucks are going to currently go in. There's going to be growing pains. They may or may not be good. Guess what? They weren't good with Giannis in the last few years as well, getting taken out of the postseason in the first round thanks to the Indiana Pacers. You got to go all the way back to, I think, 2022 was the last time they got out of the first round. That was when Chris Middleton went down with that knee injury and they lost to the Boston Celtics. So, again, it is a sad day, but it is a happy day at the same time for me personally, just because we can finally move on. We knew this day was going to come. We knew that Giannis eventually was going to want out, although he told us for years and years and years, Charlie, that he was never going to go out, that this was his city, that this is what, he wants to remain a Buck for life. And those are the kind of things that he has said. And I know obviously things change, the surroundings of him change, the circumstances certainly change.
Be open about that.
That was my problem with it. Charlie, if he had raised his hand, I go back to that December, I think it was December 15th. I don't know why the 15th sticks out in my brain. If he goes out in that press conference where he finally meets with reporters after his calf injury, because, there was rumors that, Shams had a breaking news story that Giannis had requested a trade. And that night, if you recall, he has a calf strain and then he's out for a few weeks. So they go, there's a few weeks where he doesn't play, he returns. And that was the question. That was the answer where he said, well, if, my agent wants to go around and do shopping for me, he can do what he wants. Like, full stop. No. If he just raised his hand, Charlie, and said, you know what? We did everything we could. The ownership went into the luxury tax. They went into the aprons. They made trades. They did signing deals that nobody thought they could do. Jrue Holiday was really Drew Bledsoe, because Drew Bledsoe helped get Jrue Holiday here. Then Eric obviously, Drew Bledsoe's a quarterback.
Tom Brady get to win.
Thank you. That's why you're here. You're the brains of this operation. Eric Bledsoe. And then Drew Holiday obviously comes to Milwaukee in that trade. Bobby Portis, Brooke Lopez that offseason. You move on. When you win a championship, when it didn't work with Drew and you make the trade that nobody saw coming in Damian Lillard. And again, every general manager, every fan, every owner is signing up for that trade. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, for the Bucks. And then when it didn't work out, they waived and stretched him. They became the first team to do that. Then they go out and sign Miles Turner. So the ownership did, to me, and the front office, everything they could possibly do. And I'm with you. I hate siding more so with the front office and the ownership. But for me, this falls like 50% on Giannis and then 25-25 on the rest. Because, and again, part of it's out of his control, right? Like injuries are a part of it. You can't really necessarily help those things. You want them to not be a factor. But the way that Giannis plays, you can't tell him not to play the way that he plays. But for me, he was half committed. He was half not committed. The organization had approached him during this past offseason and said, hey, can we have a year to kind of just rehash this roster? Give us a year to kind of rebuild, retool a little bit. They did it in Golden State. They did it in Denver. They did it in San Antonio. They did it in Boston. And OKC. Like it resulted. The results were there. And Giannis said, nope, I want to compete for championships. And that's it. It's the only thing I want to compete for. So the ownership, said, all right, here we go. Here's more moves. Here's more picks. We've already dealt all of our assets away. And at the end of the day, Giannis couldn't stay healthy. Damian Lillard couldn't stay healthy. Chris Middleton was another part of that story as well, and not staying healthy. Like the Bucks, in my opinion, with John Horst, and I know not everybody's a fan of John Horst, and I get it. I understand why people aren't a fan of Jimmy Haslam, which it feels like he's taken over that role for the governor of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Again, I think he just decided he was done.
I don't know if that's been reported. It just feels like all of a sudden, hey, it's Jimmy Haslam's team who deals Myles Garrett in the NFL and Giannis like a month apart. So an interesting offseason for Jimmy Haslam and his ownership groups in the NBA and the NFL. But for me, it's again, the ownership in the front office did everything. Like you can't ask another organization to do the things that the Bucks did and be able to keep that championship window open for, I guess, 2018, you could say it started. I mean, that's almost a decade, Charlie, where they were in the conversation to be one of the best teams, if not the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Injuries played a factor in it, but at least as much as I said I'm sad, I am a little bit relieved, a little bit happy. I'm excited. I do like the package. We'll talk about that. Brian Butch will be joining us here shortly, and we'll get his thoughts on it. I do like the package, and we'll discuss a little bit about that. I just wanted to open up the show talking about our feelings. I just don't think you'll ever be able to see another organization do what this Milwaukee Bucks organization did. And I feel like that's given a lot of flowers to the ownership. That's given a lot of flowers to the front office. I know a lot of people don't like going in that direction, but every single year, this team gave me and you, Charlie, fans of the Milwaukee Bucks, hope that this could be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And they continue to evolve and build around Giannis. And as a fan, that is how we always want our teams to operate. It's how we were so over the moon ecstatic when the Packers went out and traded for Micah Parsons, because it's things that we do or that we want to see happen. And we actually saw it come to fruition for the Packers. And then we saw it for years in Milwaukee, and they did it. They signed his brothers when maybe not a lot of teams around the NBA. It's not a shot at them. That's just the reality. Maybe not a lot of teams in the NBA would give them an opportunity. The Bucks did. They go out and acquire all these guys. They keep Bobby Portis. They pay Brooke Lopez. They pay Drew Holiday. They pay Chris Middleton. They acquire Damian Lillard. They acquire Miles Turner, and are giving up their assets left and right. And I blame more of this, I wouldn't say failure, because I don't think there's really any failure. I know it sounds like a Giannis quote about his exit in the postseason. It's not really a failure, but why there's only one championship and why this ended prior to Giannis ending his career was, I think, more so on him than anybody else.
Right. And I think a lot of it is what you're talking about is the Bucks cultivating this family kind of culture within the Milwaukee Bucks that I think has won a lot of teams championships over the past few years. The Knicks just won on this family type of culture. The OKC Thunder won last year on that family type of culture. Celtics a couple of years before that, same deal. Like it all is kind of built on that. And I think that was really important when Giannis first started in the NBA, because Sparky pointed this out, he was coming to a place that he was not comfortable with at all. He's from a completely different country, a completely different lifestyle, and he's coming to this, and to have people bring you in and have this family kind of culture around you, I think is so important. And then Giannis, I think once it kind of outgrew that, because you had to start trading players away because you could not keep that same kind of family around him, he made it a business culture all of a sudden. And it made a lot of people sad, and it made a lot of people not feel that same kind of warmth that they think they felt before. And you could see that. And I don't think it really truly affected Giannis on the outside, but I think you could see it affected on the inside, and the frustration that he had later on is that this is kind of what has become of my career. And I think he's going somewhere where he thinks that Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat and Pat Riley can go out there and cultivate a family kind of culture, because they do that every single year. Somehow, some way, those teams, they will ride and die for Eric Spoelstra and those teammates around them. Yeah. I think that's something he's looking for again here now. Yep. It's just sad that he allowed it to kind of get to that point when he was in Milwaukee.
We're both a little sad. We're both a little happy, as he's Charlie Usen. I'm Brandon Snide. What does Brian Butch think of the trade that sent Giannis to Miami? What does Charlie, myself, Brian think of the package the Bucks received? We'll break that down. And of course, we'll get you set for the opening of round 1 of the NBA draft coming up at the top of the hour, as you're listening to the Pro Hoops Draft Show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back after this.
America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Save big money in all Purdy tools to help you finish your next paint and stain project. Menards carries Purdy paintbrushes, roller covers, prep tools, pails, kits, and more to help you get the job done right. Purdy brushes have been handcrafted in the USA for over 100 years and are the #1 brand preferred by professionals. Save big on Purdy painting tools. And don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
When the Brewers stretch a hit into 3 bases, the cheers are louder than ever this season. That's because every triple now carries a much bigger meaning. Through a partnership with Special Spaces Wisconsin, Steinhoffels will donate $1,000 for every Brewers triple recorded. These funds go directly toward creating dream bedrooms for children battling cancer, turning 3 bases into special spaces. Steinhoffels is honored to support the effort to bring joy and comfort to children during their most difficult times. Visit specialspaces.org to learn more.
Josh Albrecht from Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Make sure to tune into the show. On Wednesday, we will discuss the Bucks draft night, talk to our friend Doug Gottlieb, and much, much more. All the fun starts bright and early at 6 on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, and free on the Odyssey app.
This is the game, and these are the rules.
Like to play games?
There are going to be rules.
Then you should know this. For all WSSP contest rules, go to 1250amthefan.com/rules.
Just follow the rules.
Hey, Chuck, I see you have a 4.8 review rating on Trustpilot. Nice.
Our staff is so proud of their over 8,000 stellar reviews on Trustpilot. One of the best reasons to do business with Dollar Loan Center is our amazing bank-like locations and real, live, friendly staff.
I know your customers love Don'tBeBroke.com.
And so do I. We're so different than the average payday, check cashing, or title loan joints. We lend more and give more time to pay back. Look, our locations are amazing. Great music on, and you immediately feel comfortable and welcome, like banks used to be. Another thing we do that banks used to do is actually lend money.
Dollar Loan Center is opening 36 locations in Wisconsin, so you'll be seeing a DLC in your area soon. Until then, you can find us at don'tbebroke.com to apply online with instant funding to the account of your choice, up to $5,000 in minutes.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
The world's game at BetMGM is here. Bet on the soccer showdowns with 2-up early payout so that if you're up 2, BetMGM will pay you. That's right. Place a pre-game straight match results bet on any tournament game. If at any point your team is up by 2 goals, you'll instantly win your bet. Then enjoy BetMGM same-game parlays, daily promotions, player props, and so much more for the world's game. Don't miss your shot at an early win with 2-up early payout to get paid out if at any point your team is up by 2 goals. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. Must be 21 years of age or older. This promotional offer not available in Ontario, Pennsylvania, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. Available in the U.S. For New York, 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. New and existing customer offer, subject to eligibility requirements. Additional terms and restrictions may apply. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel, must be present in a state where it's legal to wager.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Sponsored by BetMGM. Own your moment. Make it legendary. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Seismic waves were made with the news of Dusty May jumping from Michigan to the Mavs. The opportunity to coach Cooper Flagg was irresistible. Mavs to draft a Di Mara at number 9? That's completely viable.
Broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's the Pro Hoops Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back into the Pro Hoops Draft Show. Brandon Snard, Charlie Usen, and number 32 in your programs. Number 1 in my heart, Wisconsin Badger legend, former NBA center, Brian Butch, a.k.a. Butchie, is in our den. Butchie, how we doing? Nope, don't think we got Butchie, so we'll work on that technical difficulty coming up here as we get you set for the NBA draft as round 1 getting set to kick off here. We're about 30 minutes or so away from Adam Silver taking the stage and breaking down pick by pick. You'll get our reactions. We'll talk about some of the prospects we wanted to see the Bucks select, how the board falls for the Bucks, again, getting the number 10 and now the number 13th overall selection in this year's draft as they make a trade late last night with the Miami Heat sending Giannis away, Bobby Portis away, and receiving Tyler Hero in the package, who's currently being rumored to be available on the market for teams looking to acquire a scorer. Detroit was linked to him. Kevin O'Connor talking about the Bucks. He's, of course, of Yahoo Sports, talking about the Bucks potentially trying to move into that top 5, top 8 area. We'll see if it's something John Horst can do. I never rule anything out with John Horst. I'm not ready to rule anything out. Jaylen Brown, as we knew, was included in the trade talks with the Milwaukee Bucks to potentially be swapped out for Giannis and send Giannis to Boston and Jaylen Brown into Milwaukee. They apparently are now looking to shop Jaylen Brown. So we'll see what that could potentially look like. Trey Murphy being shopped around. It could be chaos tonight as the NBA draft gets set to get underway here shortly. And we kind of went over our thoughts and our feelings regarding the Giannis trade, and I want to get some of your thoughts and your reactions over on the trade that sent Giannis away here for 13 years. Won a couple of MVPs, of course. Won the Finals MVP. Was a part of the run in 2021. Butchie, we got you? Are you with us? Not yet. Okay, we're still working through all of that with Brian Butch. We'll see exactly what the issue is. I know Charlie, he's the brains of the operation. He's getting it underway. So we kind of went over our thoughts and our feelings surrounding the trade for Giannis. And I'm curious for you guys out there listening right now to the Pro Hoops Draft Show as we're 30 minutes away from the NBA draft getting underway. if you had to pick the Boston package as we know it, right? It wasn't set in stone from what the reports were. Jaylen Brown, 2 first-round picks. The 2 first-round picks would have been, I believe, in 2030 and would have been number 27 tonight. That was package 1. Would you have rather had that package, Jaylen Brown, and those 2 first-round picks, one of those being number 27 tonight, or would you have rather had the package that the Milwaukee Bucks received last night from the Miami Heat? That included Tyler Hero, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Kasperigas Yakachonis, the number 13th overall selection in tonight's draft. They also have number 10. A 2030 first-round pick swap, a 2031 first-round pick, a 2033 first-round pick, and a 2033 second-round pick. If you had to pick one of those packages, if you are John Horst, you are in charge of the Milwaukee Bucks. It is your decision. Are you taking the Boston package with Jaylen Brown and those 2 first-round picks, or are you taking the Miami Heat package that includes, let's see here, 4 players? 1, 2, 3, 4 players, and tonight's 13th overall pick, a first-round pick in 2030, a first-round pick swap in 2030, a 2031 first-round pick, a 2033 first-round pick, and a 2033 second-round pick. And I heard Sparky, my guy, I heard him yesterday talk about the Jaylen Brown one, kind of excites him a little bit. Charlie, I know he was a little angry today, as he usually can kind of be sometimes when it came to where this Bucks, where they're going, they're directional with the ownership, and I get that frustration. But Charlie, I think John Horst did exactly what John Horst needed to do for this organization. You were never ever, like, I guess newsflash for Bucks fans and Giannis fans and people upset. There is not a package in the world that is going to make you feel better about trading away a guy who has been here 13 years, that we saw grow up from a skinny kid that was learning smoothies and walking the streets of Milwaukee to becoming, I think, the most dominant two-way player in the NBA. There was never going to be a package that included you to be happy in regards to what the Bucks were going to give up. And there's never going to be a package out there, I think, that overall fans could get around. I just don't think that was something that was ever going to happen. I think right now, I truly believe this was the best package that the Bucks could have gotten for number 34. And not only that, it almost felt like John Horst played into this perfectly, right? Because we didn't really hear much, Charlie, and we got Brian Butch dialed up here. We'll get to Butchie in a second. We didn't really hear about Boston being in this until recently. Like, it was kind of recent. And the Bucks, John Horst, and maybe this is the way they operated, I have no idea. We'll get Butchie's thoughts here in a minute. The Bucks kind of pinned these two teams up against each other. Two teams that, outside of the Knicks, outside of Detroit, I suppose, I'm not fully bought into Detroit, are probably going to be there at the end of the year competing in the Eastern Conference. Now, you could look at the Miami Heat roster and be like, I don't know about that roster.
Maybe the Magic can figure it out.
Maybe the Magic. You're right. You're absolutely right. That is another pick that could, maybe Atlanta, I suppose. They had a decent run late in the year. But I think John Horst played this perfectly. He pinned up Miami against Boston. Boston didn't want to let go of Hugo Gonzalez for Giannis, I suppose.
Stupid.
I suppose. And he put them up against each other. He included Yakachonis, that Miami Heat did, because that's who the Bucks wanted, according to other reports. Davion Mitchell was the other name, and John Horst said, no, we want Yakachonis, and Miami Heat obviously obliged. Let's get him in on the program now. Number 32 in your programs, number 1 in my heart. He's my friend. He co-hosts the Locked On Bucks postcast with me. He is the one and the only, the Butchie. Butchie, how we doing this evening?
I think we're doing all right.
There's technical difficulties, but it's the Pro Hoops Draft Show, baby. We're just we make it work. We find ways around obstacles. We don't quit, Butchie, when it gets tough. We just find another way to get it done.
Never. And you got to stop giving such a lead in, because it's real. It is what it is. I mean, that's all I got to I don't need a lead in. That's for darn sure. But I will say this about the trade. We all thought this was going to happen. Matter of fact, Brandon, one of the things I talked about on one of our last Locked On Bucks that we did when we did the postcast, I said, watch out for Jimmy Haslam taking over. Do you remember that? Do you not remember that? And everyone thought I was stupid for saying that. but it has that feel. And that's the thing that I get a little worried about with this trade was Jaylen Brown that big of non-asset where you couldn't have moved him for some more trade, some more draft picks, etc. I think Miami's deal is really good. I love Giacchionis from Illinois. Saw him play 1 year in, rookie. Thought that was, and I'm glad that John and staff think that he was the guy that needed to be thrown in as well. I did too. I mean, that was a guy that I thought and I think very, very highly of as far as a young guard that can really develop. So I look at that and say, okay, yes, they did that part of him. The only positive about getting this done when they did is now you've got 10, you've got 13, and you can make decisions. At 10 coming up here for the Bucks, they can take a flyer. They can take a guy with a little bit of a risk factor, knowing that at 13 you can get a more established guy. And that's where I look at this with saying, okay, I know you guys, and I heard Sparky talk about how he was frustrated with Giannis and it was different, and he was, come on, like this is the league. Like this is about as clean of a breakup as, like, yes, he might have done that before, and there might have been conversations back channeled. Guys, there's back channel conversations in the NBA all the time. Like this is the way the NBA works. So it doesn't mean that deals are done. It's agents leveraging all the time with this. So I don't want to say that like Giannis was doing this and he was trying to make fun of Shams and that stuff. Like there's part of this that I just think is the nature of what the beast of the NBA is. And I'm not going to hold that against Giannis. Giannis brought a championship to this city that I didn't think we'd ever see, if we're being honest. I mean, and I see it from a different lens. I mean, yeah, like working out for the Bucks, coaching for the G League for 2 years for the Bucks, like I was able to see inside some of the philosophy and thought process of what they were trying to do. So knowing that, even though John wanted a certain type of player, when Bud was there, Bud was the one saying, we're going to go get shooting. So even though John might have wanted to go get some of those guys that fit what they were trying to do, Bud was saying, you're going to go give me shooting. And they did. And, so all of that is in play. And I just think where Giannis is at, what we've done, how we've seen it, this was going to happen. There's a couple of reasons I think it happens. I think the way that Doc handled things last year, I'd be frustrated too. Brandon, we talked about this during the season. I go, the more that this
that's on Giannis. That's on Giannis too.
No, how is that on Giannis?
Because I always go back to when Adrian Griffin was hired.
Because I know where you stand. Like, go ahead. Yeah.
I know that Adrian Griffin was brought in here, and I am well aware that he wasn't John Horse's first pick, right? That was Kenny Atkinson
in Cleveland.
But Giannis said Adrian Griffin is the guy he wanted. He had never coached a game as a head coach in the NBA. And then, Butchie, 10 days before the season starts, they bring in Terry Stotts because they just acquired Damian Lillard. And then Adrian Griffin and Terry Stotts get into an altercation, and Terry Stotts puts up the peace sign, and he's out, and he's gone. Like, that was the start of Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. It had a rocky start from the beginning. Doc Rivers isn't here, in my opinion, if Adrian Griffin is never hired. Adrian Griffin is never here and hired if Giannis isn't Giannis's selection. That they may go with Nick Nurse. They may go with Kenny Atkinson. And who knows if we're even having this discussion, because maybe the Bucks have enough success to where Giannis can buy in and sign on that dotted line for the Supermax. So it is a ripple effect from Giannis on out. I know he plays this card of he's innocent. He has no say. He has no idea what's going on. We all know that's not true, but you know how the league works. You know that's not true.
Brandon, did the roster they put together good enough this year?
I think
it was good enough for anything.
I think it was good enough. You and I have had this discussion. I think it was good enough this year to compete in the Eastern Conference. If you're telling me it's good enough to
Brandon,
compete,
I'm not going to jump on you, but I'm going to jump in. That roster construction was terrible. I mean, they weren't competing more than what they had. Like
they were better than where they finished.
Take that to my grave with this comment. One, the Bobby Portis is a black hole. The guy touched the ball and it never moved. You can't have a guy with Giannis that's going to do that. Like, you just can't, because he's the ball dominant player. That's the frustration I have, is you needed a lot of guys to do certain things. This roster was not good enough right now to be able to do anything and win. Now you move Giannis. It started it. I thought Doc was a big part of that. I didn't think the culture was great. And every time the culture you start chipping away at culture, a guy that's built on culture and Giannis isn't going to want to be a part of it. And I think that is a big, I get the Adrian Griffin. I understand that. By the way, that was one of the worst press conferences a head coach could ever give by Adrian Griffin. Like, that was embarrassing, by the way. But rewind a little bit. I know. But if you're John Horst, do you not listen to your superstar when it's Giannis? You have to.
Well, you got to. But you also, but like that, and that's what the organization has continued to do, right? And that's kind of why they're in the way that they're in right now, and the mud that they're essentially stuck in right now is because they listen to Giannis.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this, though. Whose decision was it to go get Doc? We've heard different conversations.
I've heard different reports as well.
I've heard different, but I've heard it was ownership that said, hey, we're going to do this. And under that, who was part of that ownership group at that time?
I agree. I know where you're going with this, but I do think that in the moment, like where else?
So if I'm a player and my ownership goes and gets a guy in Doc Rivers and just says, hey, we're doing this, and it doesn't work out, and you don't trust them. And then ownership says, hey, we're going to put a mandatory deadline on the draft on this. Like, there's enough things that I've seen there that I'm like, okay, if I'm a superstar, you want to be lock and step with your ownership group, especially Giannis. I don't think Giannis felt that way. And I think those are probably the last parts that just said, okay, it's time to move on. I really do. Like, Giannis wants to win, and he's no longer a Buck. Do I love what the Bucks got back in return? I do. I think John Horst did a fantastic job. I really do. And now as Bucks fans, we get to vent because this is the one day to vent. But in 18 minutes, you're going to have the 10th and the 13th pick to get excited about. If you're a Bucks fan, you can be upset all you want right now, but your future starts in 17 minutes now. Like that not many fan bases can have that big of a change, but they can. And there's still moves that John's going to. The one thing we know about the Bucks front office is they're going to take swings, and they're going to take some big cuts. It might not always connect, but they're going to take big cuts. I still think this Bucks team has more big cuts ahead of them. I really do. I don't think Tyler Hero's around. I think there's some Miles Turner is a possibility of being gone. I think there are still a lot of things that are in play for this. And by the way, the one thing that we haven't talked about is Taylor Jenkins. I think he's a developer. I think he's what this team needs. I love this hire. I love this hire when it happened. So that, to me, is an exciting part of this as well. The Giannis thing, there's drama all over, guys. I'm appreciative of what – this is the last thing I'll say about that. I'm appreciative of what he did. He came here, and he was what I thought Wisconsin represents. He worked his tail off. He didn't complain as far as NBA guys go. You know what I mean? Like there was no drama. You could have bought a jersey with his number on it. He was good. You like all these things. He'd come up to Wisconsin herd games and watch his brothers. And I was calling herd games.
Still was doing it recently.
And he was, absolutely. And I would sit there and see how he interacted with fans in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Like, this is what you want from a superstar. And even if behind everything, he was talking about how he wanted to get out and the agent was leaking it, he still represented himself the way that you want a superstar. And I'm going to use air quote disgruntled, but it's like that's how you're supposed to act. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a pro does. And I think the way that Giannis handled this, I have no problems with it. It's called pro sports. I have no problem with the way Giannis handled any of this business.
He is Brian Butch, Charlie Usen, Brandon Snide here with you on the Pro Hoops Draft Show as we get you set for round one of the NBA draft. After that trade, the Bucks holding the number 10 and the number 13 overall selection, 15 minutes away from Adam Silver taking over the main stage in the NBA draft. We'll go pick by pick, get our reactions, get our thoughts, see how the board falls for the Milwaukee Bucks. But before we get there, Butchie mentioned the package for the Bucks that they did receive. We're going to dive in to his thoughts on that package. What really stood out for him? Would he rather have this one or the one that Boston gave? And the Taylor Jenkins part is the forgotten piece. We're going to dive in. We'll get his thoughts on that coming up next on the Pro Hoops Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. And we're powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back after this.
Hey, better. Swing into Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee for the $300,000 Big League Series. Just play with your rewards card over 3 months to earn entries. Here's the lineup. Leading off April, on deck May, in the hole June. All monthly entries you earn will roll into drawings on Friday, June 26th, where you could win cash, free play, or one of 3 new Toyota vehicles. It's the $300,000 Big League Series, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Hey folks, John Kuhn here. Let me be the first to say welcome to Wisconsin.
What's the deal here?
After 197 years, the oldest brewery in America has arrived in Wisconsin, and let me tell you, it was the way. Now, let's meet the lineup. Leading off, Yingling Traditional Lager. Next up,
Check 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
And cleanup, black and tan. That's an all-star roster right there. So Wisconsin, the next time you grab a beer, go with the lineup that's been winning for nearly 2 centuries. Yingling, the oldest brewery in America. Yingling, officially in Wisconsin. Now that's a championship team. DG Yingling and Son, Pottsville, PA. Enjoy responsibly.
You've put in the work. Now there's a way to make it count toward your degree at Lakeland University. Your work and life experience can earn you college credit, helping you finish faster and save time and money. With flexible evening and online classes, plus multiple start dates, Lakeland fits your life. Study 100% online at one of our 6 locations across Wisconsin or on our main campus in Sheboygan County. Customize your degree to fit your life and your future without missing the moments that matter. Lakeland University. Experience it your way.
Hey, this is Mason Crosby for Nicolay Law. And unlike bigger national law firms, Nicolay Law is in your community and they're here to serve you. They know what life is like in the Midwest because they're from here and they're living it too. When an unexpected accident occurs and you give them a call, you know you're working with people who truly understand where you're coming from. That personal insight and understanding of their clients gives them the competitive edge in helping you get your life back. Nicolay Law, Wisconsin's award-winning injury lawyers. Visit them at nicolaylaw.com or call them at 1-855-NICOLAY.
The Bucks have traded Giannis to the Miami Heat.
It is a happy day in Milwaukee. One player superstar ball that we're doing for Giannis was over. You haven't gotten any better since 2021. You've never got your jump shot together. We can't depend on you at the end of the game, and we can't protect you from yourself because you want to play all 82 games, but when we need you in the playoffs, we can't count on you.
We're talking about it on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Hey, it's Josh Albrecht from my friends at Best Electric. Have you actually turned your AC on yet this season? Because finding out it's struggling during the first warm weekend of the summer probably isn't the plan. That's why Best Electric is excited to introduce heating and cooling services through their partnership with ABC Plumbing, Sewer, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Right now, you can get ABC's ultimate AC tune-up for just $49. Best Electric has proudly served local homeowners for over 50 years and is now part of the ABC family of home service companies. Schedule your tune-up now at 4abc.com. That's the number 4abc.com.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
Did you know that IPA beer was actually created in England? The British wanted a beer that would sustain a lengthy trip from England to the troops stationed in India. As a result, extra hops were added, and the IPA, India Pale Ale, was born. Hi, this is Marie with Discount Liquor, and we are your IPA headquarters. Discount Liquor is Wisconsin's home to over 2,000 varieties of beer, 3,500 types of liquor, and over 8,000 wines. Our unparalleled selection is rivaled only by our incredible savings and everyday low prices. And we know how to take care of our customers, no matter the occasion. In fact, Discount Liquor has won numerous national and local awards. Visit Discount Liquor at our Milwaukee or Waukesha locations. Family owned and operated since 1960.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
In Milwaukee on 51st in Oklahoma, and in downtown Waukesha on Main and Barstow. Check out our specials at discountliquorinc.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/team. That's ZipRecruiter.com/team.
ZipRecruiter.
Here's a World Soccer Championship Team Spotlight, brought to you by the first ever Infinity QX65 and by Lowe's. Give your yard its own moment with the new limited time deals from Lowe's.
France is loaded with attacking firepower, headlined by a lightning-fast forward who's been the best player on the planet for years. Les Bleus' combination of
Welcome back into the Pro Hoops Draft Show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Milwaukee Bucks making a big trade with the Miami Heat last night, sending Giannis Bobby Portis away. The Bucks in return getting 4 players, including the 13th overall selection in tonight's draft. Butchie, before we went to break, you mentioned the Taylor Jenkins part of that, and we got about 2 to 3 minutes here. So I'm going to put you on the clock here, but you got a shot clock here as we get set to kick off the actual draft with Adam Silver getting set to take the stage here very, very shortly. Give me your thoughts on the Taylor Jenkins part of it. And if you can, Butchie, within this time, give me your thoughts on the package overall that the Bucks did receive.
Yeah, I think you look at this in general. I think Taylor Jenkins is a guy that is going to develop players. That's first and foremost. So you do that, and you get young guys back in play that if one of them hits, great. I think that's ultimately where you stand with this is you feel extremely comfortable in what is Taylor and how he can operate. I think that's the first thing. If you're going to make this move and you're going to get young, you better make sure you get a guy that can develop in what this needs to become. And I think that's the first thing that I look at with this group. I think when you look at what you had to give up as Giannis and Bobby, like, okay, you knew that was going to go. You get back Tyler Hero, who I do not think will still be a Milwaukee Buck. I think there's one of those things that's going to change a little bit. I think they're going to try to move him. Ware is a big that I saw at Indiana play. His development is great. I compare him to a Christian Wood. I question his motor. That is my biggest question with Ware. I think he is ultra talented. What does that play out? How does he continue to develop? We'll see. I think the Bucks thought they had a really good player in Christian Wood. Christian then goes to Dallas and gets a really big contract. What has Christian Wood done since? That to me is an issue. I put those two very similar. Like I coached Christian when I was with the Herd. I saw Khalil and talked with some of his coaches there. That motor's an issue. And it was a motor in Miami. It was an issue in Miami as well. I mean, Haka is one of the things there. I think obviously a great young player can be really good. And then Giannis, for me, that was the guy that I thought, hey, okay, let's see what happens there. So you get that, you get the picks, you get 13. I think those are all really big things. You got to get some of your picks back, and they did.
Yep, we'll see what the Bucks do. The NBA draft getting set to get started here. Adam Silver taking the stage momentarily, and we'll bring it to you. Coming up next on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Welcome into hour number 2 of the Pro Hoops Draft Show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Thanks to Potawatomi Sportsbook for powering the program this evening. Charlie Usen here as well. Brian Butch, myself, Brandon Snide. Moments away from Adam Silver taking the stage out there in New York to get this NBA draft underway as the Bucks, for now, Charlie and I just talking in the break here, Butchie. If we saw any news break during that moment in between our last segment and the beginning of this one, if there had been any other movement throughout the NBA, it certainly feels like there's going to be some chaos tonight potentially throughout the NBA. Butchie, when you look at this draft class as it stands right now, that we're getting ready to get set here out there in New York, Adam Silver getting ready to take the stage here literally any moment. How do you like where the Bucks currently pick and what the potential options would be available for them when they do make their pick? Because it seems like a very, very deep class.
Well, it is, and it has been. And, watching the college game as much as I do during the season, there's options at 10 and 13 that I like. Again, now that you have the Giannis situation over with, you're going to have 2 picks in a situation where one can be a pick of projection. One can be a pick of, okay, you can kind of plug and play a little bit. And I'm going to be really interested at 10 and 13. It almost feels like there's a Michigan player drafted at some point there. They've got 3 Michigan bigs that are in play. I've obviously seen those guys in play a lot. I think the first, when you look at realistically, the first 4, I think are going to be superstars. When you look at AJ DeBonsa, Darren Peterson.
First 4 potentially, huh?
And Wilson. Oh, absolutely. I think Caleb Wilson's a guy that no one talks about, but the first 4 are superstars. After that, there will be superstars. We just don't know where that fits, whether it's Acuff, whether it's Wagler. Mikel Brown is a guy that I know Louisville did a lot of really good things in what he was, then goes hurt, then was in and out. And we're seeing that more and more. Darren Peterson still fits that as well. As far as a guy, I love Fleming's out of Houston as well. And a guy that I'm high on is Nate Ahmet from Tennessee. I think that is a guy. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, Sparky. Me and Charlie look at
we got into
immediately
it.
make
Me and
eye
Sparky
contact.
got into it. Me and Sparky got into it about 3 days ago.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you this. All right. I know Sparky had me on here. He might not have me on here after saying this, but it is what it is. I'm gonna take a college basketball coach who's coached against him, the 3 coaches that I've talked to about this kid, and take their opinion versus Sparky's opinion. I'm going to lean a lot heavier that way than Sparky's opinion here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in his opinion.
Me and Charlie are just here for the ride. It's your show here, Butchie. And Adam Silver officially putting Washington now on the clock. Butchie, we're going to go live to the pick when it is getting ready to be announced. While we wait for Washington to make this selection, what would you do right here, Butchie, if you are Washington right now? Because it is, I think, comes down to 2 players.
Yeah, no, this is what it is. It's AJ DeBonsa or Peterson. I think for me, when I look at this group, there's a lot of question right now with Darren Peterson as far as what he was. I think he's by far the most gifted scorer in the class. I don't think that's in question. I think health is in question. I think just what you can look at as far as motivation, I think that has to come up. I would compare Darren Peterson to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. To me, that as far as the scoring and what he can do, I think that's the biggest thing that I look at with it. Now the thing with this is he didn't want to visit Utah. He didn't so there's a lot of things in play with this. AJ, I saw him up close and personal when the Badgers played Utah at Salt Lake City. Loved his game. Now, the thing that I look at and the kind of question mark that I have, AJ is a very, very, very ball-dominant guard. Needs the ball. If the ball's not there, it stalls at time. And I did not think at times for BYU the ball moved as much. Now, I'm being extremely picky when I say this, right? I'm understand that both these guys I think are going to be absolute superstars. I mean, he led Division I in scoring. AJ did. He can get to his spot. I mean, you ask any Badger player how that night was or that afternoon in Salt Lake City was. Let's just say I didn't ride the bus home. I decided I was going to walk back to the hotel that night. So there's some games that you decide I'm just going to walk back. There's some games you're like, yeah, I'll take the bus back. It's going to be a good. That was not one of those. So I walked back on that one, and I just thought, man, he's set up for a prime situation. Really thought that possibly Utah was going to try to trade up and get this, keep him in Utah. It obviously isn't that. Now it'll be, very interesting. I'm taking AJ even over Peterson. I do but it is a coin flip, but I also get nervous with medical stuff, guys. I just do.
Yeah, and for the right reasons, right? We've seen it backfire on teams a lot. As we're 2 minutes left on the clock for Washington.
It's taken a long time to you to get this first pick.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, you're Washington. Okay, you've been on the clock now for what, a month? Like, when the lottery, first went down. So you probably have a good idea on who it is you are going to select. There are less than 2 minutes left on the clock as we wait for Adam Silver and the Washington Wizards as the pick is officially. And I agree with you, Butchie. I think it comes down to two players. It will be interesting to see the direction that Washington does go into. I do think it factors into Trae Young, obviously re-signing up with the Washington Wizards as was it a 4-year, $212 million? If my memory serves to be,
I think it was just 212. That's it. I don't think he got, more than that. I think it was just $212 million for Trae Young.
Yeah. And that's obviously going to be a part of their future, at least, and what they hope for. So it will be interesting to see who they decide to pair up with him as we do await Adam Silver getting set to announce the first overall selection from New York in the NBA's 2026 draft. The Bucks have two selections in this draft in the first round this evening, number 10 and the one they acquired late last night in exchange for Giannis and Bobby Portis. It was number 13 overall from the Miami Heat. Butchie, as we kind of wait here, and I might have to cut you off as we go about this when Adam Silver does decide to take the stage, are you looking for anything in particular when it comes to guys getting either picked rather earlier in the process here in the first handful of picks, or maybe guys that are not being picked where you thought they would be picked as it pertains to the Milwaukee Bucks at number 10 and number 13?
Yeah, I think the situation is that guard position when you look at number 5 and what Wagler does, Acuff, Brown, Fleming's like, I think that's where this thing gets drafted, because does a Michigan big move up to that situation? Does a Michigan big sit in a situation where now all of a sudden one of those guys is available to you? Because if it is, now all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good about getting a really dynamic guard.
All right, looks like the pick is officially in. The Washington Wizards with the first overall selection. We're going to go live to the NBA draft out there in New York as Adam Silver, if they keep showing the same shots here, Charlie,
he still hasn't come
out. We've seen
it's a long walk, boys. I'm watching the same thing. It's a long walk,
We've seen the same camera shots now.
Guys, not the right ball guy.
Yeah, it will be certainly an interesting part of this draft. I think the underrated part of this draft is where the Bucks fit. To your point, Butchie, they have, I wouldn't call it an insurance policy with the 13th pick now.
That's exactly what it is.
But
no,
but
it is.
So do you think you think number 10 should be the quote unquote lottery ticket you're trying to scratch off in exchange for what they had to give up?
I think that is the best. I think that is the best available player. Then the rest of it, 13 can be safe.
All right, let's go out to New York. Adam Silver with the first overall selection.
With the first pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Anise Debonsa Jr. from Brigham Young University.
All right, no surprise there, Butchie. We called it. AJ Debonsa going to the Washington Wizards. We put together a draft profile thanks to our friends over at Babcock Hoops. Let's take a listen on who the Washington Wizards just got with their first overall selection.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of BYU forward AJ Debonsa. Standing at 6'9", weighing 210 pounds, he's a dynamic offensive threat. AJ can attack the rim with long strides, explosiveness, and power, while also creating space off the dribble for pull-ups and finishing through traffic with polish. Debanza will need to become more consistent from behind the arc, improve his shot selection, and maintain sustained focus. This Pro Hoops Draft Profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
There you have it. Thanks to Babcock Hoops for the breakdown for Debounce going out there to Washington, as Utah will be next in the draft order as it sits currently. I have to imagine, Butchie, with no surprise, with AJ Debounce going there to Washington, that this is Darren Peterson territory, I would assume.
Yeah, but this is where a wild, to me, yes, I'm doing this, but this is a wild card. Don't think that it isn't. I think one of those things that you look at with this Utah team and what they can do is they have options now. I'm a guy that I Peterson there was enough questions at Kansas that made you question for sure. I was critical of him. I also know, and I've talked to a couple of scouts that knew a little bit more than the normal person knew about the work ethic that was done to try to come back from some of these cramp issues, the way that he attacked practice. And it's like those things to me trend in the right way of what a Danny Ainge team wants to get as far as what he's looking for. Like when you're talking Danny Ainge, you're talking old school Boston, old school conditioning tests, old school work ethic. That's where I think some of this plays out. Now, I also know on the other side of this, injuries are a concern for Danny Ainge too. You don't want a guy that's not going to be able to go. But the little bit that I know Danny, the little bit that I had a bunch of workouts for Boston when I was going through the draft process, those workouts are some of the hardest workouts that I did. So like just understanding that a little bit, he wants a guy that's a worker. And I think Darren Peterson fits that, to be honest. I do. And I just think there's too much talent there not to roll the dice. And I say roll the dice in a nice, like, I think this is pretty clear, but that's the way I look at it, boys.
Yeah, I don't know if we're necessarily rolling a crazy amount of dice there with. I
do
with
think
Darren
it's a wild
Peterson.
card, though, Brandon. Like I think
it could be right. It could be. And Memphis is right behind them. There were some conversations on would Memphis maybe move out of that number 3 pick. Of course, Chicago at number 4 well.
Darren Peterson said he didn't want to go to Utah. When you talk about rolling the dice, does that, like, when you already went through the same kind of thing last year with Ace Bailey, does that make you more cautious of rolling those dice, or does it make you more confident in rolling those dice in that situation?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. It's a great call, too. I think one of those things that I look at with it is I don't care. Like, I've got your rights for as long as I got them here. I'll trade you here in a little bit anyways. It's the NBA. We just traded Giannis, for crying out loud. Like, I mean, I get
Nothing's permanent.
This is the way this league is built. Good or bad, this is the way the league is. And I think in a situation like this, you say, hey, we're going in on this because of the talent you are. And then you try to, spin it the way you can.
Number 2 pick is Utah. The pick is in as we await Adam Silver to take the stage out there in Brooklyn, New York at the NBA draft. Butchie, when you look at the Bucks here, and I want to sprinkle in the Bucks talk as we go around with these picks, as you look at the Bucks, is there a name or two you are just hoping, if the Bucks do not move off of number 10 or number 13 and they stay put, is there a name or two that you are just kind of hoping and praying potentially falls to Milwaukee at those spots?
Yeah, Darius Acuff Jr. or Brown from Louisville. Either one of those two. Yeah, I think both of those guys are elite. I think both of those guys can be difference makers. I think they're electric. I think they're quick. I think they get down the floor. Like, all of those things are huge in what you're trying to build in young nucleus. Because what's the one thing you have as a young team? You can run, man. Like, you can get out and you can go because you got young legs. And I think that's a thing that I look at with this team. Those two guys would really fit that. But again, that's like when we get to 5, 6, 7, that's where it gets really interesting, in my opinion, because it really does open up. And again, I think where it plays out is what happens with the Michigan bigs, because they at some point are going to be in play, and you hope they're in play sooner than later.
Do you think there's any possibility, and we don't want to rule anything out, of course, with John Horst and what he's been able to do for countless years as the general manager for the Milwaukee Bucks, is there a spot where you're watching, you're circling, if if Acuff potentially falls, Mikael Brown is a name that's been thrown around out of Louisville for the Bucks. Is there a spot where if those guys start to fall, where the Bucks could realistically jump in and grab those guys?
I don't see what that looks like. I mean, I get a Miles Turner thrown in there. There's some options.
All right, let's go back out to New York for pick number 2 with Adam Silver.
Adam Silver.
With the second pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select Darren Peterson from the University of Kansas.
All right, as expected, let's check out our Pro Hoops draft profile thanks to Babcock Hoops.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Kansas guard Darren Peterson. Standing at 6'6", weighing 205 pounds. Offensively, Peterson is a dynamic 3-level scorer. He can create separation off the dribble with an advanced handle, punish defenders in the mid-range with smooth pull-ups, and knock down shots from deep. To maximize his potential, Peterson must continue to refine his perimeter consistency while maintaining efficiency and balance as a high-usage scorer and playmaker. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
Darren Peterson, the second overall selection in the 2026 NBA draft, going out there to the Utah Jazz. The Memphis Grizzlies up next at number 3 overall. I thought this was interesting. This is both for you guys, Charlie and Butchie. The profile for Darren Peterson. I guess it depends on where you look. The NBA comp right now, they have it for Darren Peterson, Damian Lillard with better tools. So that's a high-end pick potentially for the Utah Jazz there at number 2.
Yeah, Joe, I don't know about you, but like to me, I look at this thing and I use the word Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as far as kind of a guy that I think he is. I mean, Darren Peterson can get to any spot he wants on the floor. And he's got like this shiftiness to him that allows him to get there like Shai does. Now, Shai's like, oh, he gets fouled every time. Well, yeah, because there's the way that you handle the ball to create contact. And, you know, Darren Peterson operates in that same feel, that same flow. And so it's really interesting. I think, again, guys, I think the first 4 here are guys that are all going to be superstars. And it's gone the way we think so far.
Yep.
Yeah, Memphis on the board now. I think this is obviously Boozer and Wilson in play, both those guys, and going to fit a need there as well. So,
Charlie, is there a couple of prospects on your radar? I know you're a college basketball guy. Is there any prospects on your radar that you're hoping for to kind of fall potentially, or maybe the Bucks to go up and grab in this year's draft?
To me, I think that Darius Acuff is an option for the Milwaukee Bucks if they can get him to fall the way that the reports have been coming out about him, the way he's interviewed so far throughout the draft process. Seems like more teams are going to be a little wary of him, and if that means the Bucks can either trade up or again he falls, like the way that they're in love with him makes me think, okay, fine, I trust that. I think that's a fair way to trust John Horst in his first draft, that he has this opportunity to take a player this high in a really long time. And I think that's something that we can give him a little grace with, especially with all the stuff that's happened over the past couple of days. I've been saying it, like, whether this team is rebuilding, whether this team is going to continue to try to compete, I like Axel Lindenberg. I don't know why. I think he is a piece that can come in.
Another Michigan guy.
A guy that can come in and be a player who, in a group of really young guys, a group of players that have a lot of egos, and you saw that last season in the offseason, all the reports that came out about this team. I think he's a young player who can come in and kind of help instill a culture with a Taylor Jenkins right away. And yes, he may not be a star player for you moving forward, but if he can be that third option for you moving forward while you continue this rebuild, go into the offseason the next few years with a little bit more financial ability for this team, I think I like Lindenberg because he has just this ability to do everything for any team that he's going to be a part of.
Now, Charlie, here's my thing, and the pick is in Memphis. So if I jump off, it's because they're moving a little bit quicker.
Fair enough.
It's starting to pick up.
The question that I do have with Axel is the maturity level. Older guy, but is he mature enough to be able to be a leader as an older guy in a younger team? I didn't necessarily always feel he was mature enough at Michigan. Had a chance to call enough of their games, had a chance to talk with Dusty May enough about it. It's one of those that I question. Love him. I love him. I think he can do everything. I just don't know if it's the right fit on a young team. I think Yaxel fits better on a veteran team that says, young fella, knock that off. Like, we don't do that here. Milwaukee doesn't have that now. So that's like, if Giannis was on the Bucks, I would say you go draft Yaxel at 10 and you're good because there's a standard. I don't know how that translates to a young team.
I guess I also just believe in a Taylor Jenkins. I believe in an opportunity can get a guy to change his mindset a little bit. And with this Milwaukee Bucks team, you would be taking a gamble like we're talking about with a lot of these other teams by doing that, giving him that opportunity that he can mature and that with the right coaching staff in front of him, that they can work together to get him to get to that maturity level, because he may just be thrown into a situation where he is the oldest guy and you have to act like the oldest guy.
Well, now he did that last year with Dusty May, and Dusty May is an NBA coach now. So, I mean, it's not, it's one of those that like, he's kind of done that for a year. Was there enough development there? We'll see how he met with NBA teams. I think that's the other thing. Did they show the maturity?
The pick is in for the Memphis Grizzlies as we await Adam Silver to take the stage and make the announcement. Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson, I would assume, are one of those two selections here for Memphis, Chicago. Pick number 4 as it stands right now, the Los Angeles Clippers at pick number 5. Butchie, Charlie brought up an interesting point. One I wanted to ask you. We'll see here if Adam Silver is going to take the stage as we get set for pick number 3. Let's head out to Adam Silver out there in New York.
With the 3rd pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Cameron Boozer from Duke University.
There you have it, Cameron Boozer, the 3rd overall selection out there to Memphis. Let's hear about him. Thanks to our Pro Hoops Draft Profile, brought to you by Babcock Hoops.
It's time for your Pro Hoops Draft Profile of Duke forward Cameron Boozer. Standing at 6'9", weighing 250 pounds, he's effective in the post with soft touch, polished footwork, and the ability to finish with either hand. His face-up game is advanced, allowing him to attack off the dribble, hit pull-ups in mid-range, and stretch the floor outside the three-point line. To maximize his long-term success, Boozer must first embrace being a blue-collar presence with the perimeter shooting as a complementary tool. This Pro Hoops Draft Profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
Cameron Boozer to the Memphis Grizzlies, the Chicago Bulls getting set to get on the clock. Butchie, we'll take a break here because I want to get into the Bulls pick, the Clippers also at number 5, and then as we know, the Bucks later on at number 10 and number 13. The Taylor Jenkins question I have for Butchie and for Charlie coming up next. And do you trust John Horst to rebuild this roster and this organization? And that includes Taylor Jenkins. We'll dive into that as you're listening to the Pro Hoops Draft Show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by our friends over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back after this. Welcome back into the Pro Hoops Draft Show as the first round of the 2026 NBA Draft is getting underway. AJ DeBonsta is off the board. Darren Peterson off the board. Cameron Boozer off the board as Brian Butch, Charlie Usen here, along with myself, Brandon Snide, taking you pick by pick until the Bucks make their selection at 10 and 13. And, of course, we'll continue to carry on throughout the course of round one. Let's head out, Charlie, back out to New York. The Chicago Bulls on the clock, and their pick is in.
With the fourth pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Caleb Wilson from the University of North Carolina.
It's time for your Pro Hoops Draft Profile of North Carolina forward Caleb Wilson. Standing at 6'10" and weighing 215 pounds, he brings a rare blend of size, fluidity, athletic pop, and defensive versatility that gives him significant upside on both ends of the floor. Wilson is an explosive, highly mobile forward who plays above the rim, runs the floor well, and impacts the game with his activity level, rebounding, and ability to defend multiple positions. To maximize his potential, there is still meaningful room for growth in his shooting, strength, and overall polish. This Pro Hoops Draft Profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
There you have it, Butchie. Caleb Wilson off the board, and I'm going to be honest with you, as a Bucks fan, I absolutely hate it, but I knew the Bulls would get a good selection there at number 4. Your thoughts, Butchie, on Caleb Wilson out there to the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I think it's a really good pick by the Bulls. I love what he's done. Now, the sample size was a little bit smaller as far as his pure domination. There was an injury towards the end of the season, which I think factored into that a little bit. What he was able to do, but defensively, two-way player there and what he can do. Again, I know, we just heard it, but a little bit of strength is needed to what the level that he can do, but he can switch everything defensively. He is a guy that I think, as good as he will be on the offensive end, will be just as good defensively, is be able to switch 1 through 4. And I think the last part about this is with Boozer, there was question, Memphis, not a great athlete. He's a winner, but not a great athlete. Here you look at Caleb Wilson, like this is a no drama pick. And it seems like Chicago needs that. Guys that are just going to, go in, do their work and perform. And that's exactly what Caleb Wilson is. That being said, now the draft starts. Now we're, this, like I said, I think the first 4 players will be superstars. Well, we're at 4.
Superstars, though, does that seem a little bit far-fetched? Superstars,
yes.
Okay.
This class of freshmen were ridiculous this year. Brandon, ridiculous.
Okay.
The first 2 superstars, Cameron Boozer, I think the guy is just one. I think, the guy's won everywhere. Some people have that in their DNA. And then Caleb Wilson. Brandon, I don't know how much North Carolina games you watched, but the kid was special at times. Now, again, I said the sample size was small, but I would say this. I think Wilson has a bigger upside than Boozer. Boozer might be a guy that's in the league for 15 years and have a great career. Maybe not superstar,
kind of like his dad.
Yeah,
right. Like no, Charlie, you're right. Like so, maybe 3, but I think the upside Caleb Wilson has is a superstar. Yeah. So if you want me to back down and say 3 or 4 are going to be superstars and the one's going to be a 15-year pro and do some really good things, sure, I'll back off.
Solid pick, nonetheless.
We got 3 superstars and a 15-year pro in the first 4. Sure.
Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be mistaken here as we do a little bit of on-show production as the Clippers pick is in. We're still awaiting Adam Silver to take the stage for the number 5 overall selection. They call you Chicago Charlie. At least Sparky does.
They do, yeah.
Does that mean you're a Bulls fan?
I am to some degree. I love the Bulls and the Bucks. I grew up in Milwaukee, so I went to Bucks games. I went to Brewers games.
You guys,
well, you can't. The Bulls and the Bulls and the Bucks. I feel like
are fans here and fans this. This is ridiculous. I listen to you guys every day on this station, and I got a Bulls fan, a Bears fan. This is Wisconsin sports, for crying out loud.
I'm nice to the Wisconsin sports. So I'd like to think I'm pretty unbiased when it comes to talking about Wisconsin sports on this station. So I try to do what I can. But yes, I do follow the Bulls. I follow the Cubs. You can get on me for that, whatever. I follow the Bears for sure. But I talk.
No, this is the first show we're doing. If you don't know me well enough, I'm gonna come after you a little bit.
You just gotta push back, Charlie. Don't take it from Butchie. He's soft in the paint.
I work with Sparky all the time.
I was gonna say Charlie's got fixed in. Okay, Charlie, give me your thoughts. Caleb Wilson.
I really
to
like
the Bulls.
I really like Caleb Wilson. Again, the last time the Bulls had a pick this high, Patrick Williams was the pick, and that was a really reach kind of pick for the Bulls. They were calling him the Paw because he was supposed to be the mini version of Kawhi Leonard, and he just never ended up reaching that ceiling as a player, and it was really frustrating. So when the Bulls got to this point here, after moving on from Karnisovas as the president of basketball operations, I think that this is a moment for the Bulls to really kind of get this pick right.
All right, pick number 5 is in for the Clippers. Charlie, let's head out to New York. Adam Silver taking over.
With the 5th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the LA Clippers select Keaton Wagler from the University of Illinois.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Illinois guard Keaton Wagler. Standing at 6'6", weighing 180 pounds, he brings a balanced offensive skill set, reliable shooting touch, playmaking, and intriguing defensive tools. He projects as a versatile guard with long-term upside. While he must continue to get stronger and maintain consistency against more athletic opponents, Wagler has the framework of a multi-positional offensive piece with long-term upside. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
All right, the Illinois product off the board. Butchie, your thoughts on Wagler to the Clippers with the 5th overall selection?
Yeah, you look at what they've got. Obviously, Darius Garland, smaller guard. Keaton is a guy that is long. It can be. I mean, again, was able to see him firsthand and was elite. Like I love his game. I question the strength, right? I question how he's able to stack up a little bit. I think Mikel Brown Jr. was where I would have probably gone with this. I know there was concerns there as well. But a guy that can space the floor, average close to 4 assists a game, got others involved, was really the catalyst to that Illinois offense. And obviously they go to the Final Four because of that. Telling you, like the game, Wisconsin and Illinois at Illinois, Wisconsin wins that game. But I'm sitting there just thinking, this dude is a bad man. And I don't like, guys, I don't say that about a lot of people, but like what he was doing in that game and how Wisconsin was trying to guard and how he was still getting to the spots that he wanted to get, and then how he was making the right play. I mean, this is a guy, as they show it, he had 46 at Mackey. Like, that just doesn't happen. On my Butchie's Den, I talked to about 20 different Badgers. You know what they've all said? Best away arena, Mackey Arena. Like, because it's the atmosphere, it's the toughest place. Like, there's a reason. And he dropped 46 in that game. So it wasn't just against Wisconsin. He did it all the time. And here's the thing, guys, like going in that year, nobody thought he was going to be a top 5 pick. Like, this wasn't a Illinois go get him one and done. Like, this was by far the fastest riser in this draft. There's no question about that.
Are you guys surprised that when you look at this right now and how the draft is sort of kind of fallen, falling? I don't think anything necessarily has come off the board for the Bucks that's necessarily surprising, as the Brooklyn Nets are currently on the clock with the 6th overall selection. If you're the Bucks and John Horst, are you guys a little surprised that we haven't seen any trades kind of go down? There were some rumors. Butchie, I'll start with you. That the Clippers may be wanting to move out of that number 5 spot. We'll see what Brooklyn does. Sacramento behind them and Atlanta at number 8. Is there any surprise, Butchie, that nothing's really kind of come to fruition as far as trades go?
Well, yeah, for me there is, because I'm sitting here scrolling through X, just, okay, what do we got? Like, just assuming something is going to pop because it's the NBA draft and something always pops. Like, that's just the reality of what this feels like all the time. But I do think that this is a situation where now we're starting to get into that range of, all right, the interest is going to be higher, because now there's not that much that separates the next. I think when you look at, Brooklyn, again, Brown from Louisville, I keep saying it. I know there was this inconsistent freshman season by him, but man, again, I liked his game a lot. And then you got Acuff Jr., but there's in Flemings and like there's I wouldn't be surprised if we have some action now.
Charlie, any
Charlie, am I
surprise for
wrong
you?
with
You
that?
and I.
Am I wrong? Like, you're shaking your head like, yeah, I agree.
I do. When I look at what this has shaped out to be, I feel like a lot of the trades that we could have expected from some of these teams were all contingent on the guys that were going to be there. And I think the Bulls, it was Caleb Wilson for a really long time. They've been connected to him for a really long time. I think if for some reason Memphis didn't like Cameron Boozer and went with Caleb Wilson, I think you see that type of trade from the Chicago Bulls to move back in this draft and get the guy that they potentially could have wanted instead later on. That's a better fit for their team now. I just think a lot of things have fallen the way people have expected them to, and that's why it hasn't changed anything in this draft, which, yes, I'm surprised because the NBA draft, you see these types of moves happen all the time, but I'm not surprised because this is the way everybody expected it to shake out.
And you just hope the Bucks don't ruin that and go off script a little bit as pick number 6 for Brooklyn is in as we await Adam Silver to take the stage. Sacramento at number 7, the War Room in Brooklyn celebrating. So obviously they're thrilled with who they selected, as we'll get the pick here live shortly. The Atlanta Hawks at number 8. And so far, I think, again, there are opportunities for the Bucks to certainly move up. But I think if you're John Horst right now at 10 and number 13, obviously this is the now post Giannis era. Charlie and I, Butchie, had talked about it at the beginning of the show. It wouldn't surprise us and you mentioned it, John Horst with a trick up his sleeve. We'll see what the Bucks do. A couple of picks before they're scheduled to make their selection at number 10, but the pick is in for Brooklyn. Charlie, let's head out to New York with Adam Silver.
With the 6th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Mikel Brown Jr. from the University of Louisville.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Louisville guard Mikel Brown. Standing at 6'5", weighing 180 pounds, his shooting ability is undoubtedly his foundation. Brown's mechanics are clean, his release is consistent, and he has shown that he can hit from deep off the catch and off the dribble. While he lacks elite burst and will need to keep adding strength, his poise and skill set make him a safe bet to find success. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
All right, Butcher, that was a name you brought up before the pick was announced. Brown going to Brooklyn from Louisville. Give me your quick thoughts on that selection. After you're done with that, we'll take a break because the Bucks were getting closer and closer to that number 10 pick. So your thoughts, Butchie, on Mikel Brown Jr. from Louisville going to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think he's the bucket getter. And I know he's had a great offseason. When you talk about what he's been able to do as far as the workouts, they've been fantastic from everything that I've read about it. I know that there was a lot of up and down. It was an inconsistent freshman year for sure. When he played, he changed the game. He changed Louisville's season. When he played, they were a top 15 team. When he didn't, they were a top 40 team. And there was only one thing that changed, and it was if he was on the floor or not. To me, that tells me he's a difference maker. I thought he popped every time that I watched it. He's a screen and roll point guard, going to come out, really be aggressive, attack. I know Brooklyn's draft headquarters was excited. I would be excited too. I don't know if I've ever seen a draft headquarters not excited, but that's a whole different story. But as far as what he's able to do, averaged almost 19 a game at Louisville when he was in, and gets out, plays fast, love I do. I thought that was a guy I brought up. I thought they would probably go there versus, Aka for Flemings, and that's where they win. And I think he has, I said there's 4 guys. I think Brown has a potential to really be a dude in this league. And I know Charlie's looking at me. You can yell at me after the break on that one.
I get where you're coming from. I also think he has the floor of being a guy that's kind of out of that role in a really fast amount of time. I think pairing him up with a Julius Randle, who I think has a lot of similar tendencies despite being a much bigger player, I think that's kind of bad news when that's the veteran guy you're looking up to a little bit. And then I also think that being put onto a team like Brooklyn, where in my mind, they don't really have a very clear direction of what they want to be right now, he's going to get into old tendencies that he was picking up last season that did kind of show that he could be a shot chucker. He could take difficult shots that weren't smart. Yeah. I think that's a bad spot to be in sometimes.
Yeah, I can't disagree there either. Yeah.
He's Brian Butch. He's Charlie Usen, Brandon Snide here on the Pro Hoops Draft Show. We're 6 picks in, a couple more before the Bucks make their selection at number 10. The Sacramento Kings on the clock now. We'll break now. We'll get back to the NBA draft coming up on the NBA Draft Show, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Welcome back into the NBA Pro Hoops Draft Show here. Brandon Snard, Charlie Usen, Brian Butch here, pick by pick as we go through up until the Bucks make their selection at 10 and 13 and continuing on throughout the first round. There has been a few selections we do want to get you caught up on as the Hawks pick is in. Let's go back, though, through the previous pick. Charlie, let's head out to Chicago and let's head out to New York and check in with Adam Silver.
With the 7th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Darius Acuff Jr. from the University of Arkansas.
It's time for your Pro Hoops Draft Profile of Arkansas guard Darius Acuff. Standing at 6'3", weighing 190 pounds, he plays with confidence and poise, operating at his own tempo while consistently dictating possessions with the ball in his hands. He's comfortable creating separation with a tight handle, jabs, and a 1-2 dribble pull-up, and he's a real problem in transition when he gets downhill. The main swing area is whether Acuff can evolve into a steadier lead guard who balances scoring with consistent decision-making. This Pro Hoops Draft Profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
All right, Butchie, that was my dream pick for the Bucks. Unfortunately, that's not going to come to fruition as Acuff goes number 7 overall. Atlanta is at number 8. Their pick is in. We do have a break coming up here shortly, Butchie, but give me your thoughts on Acuff going to the number 7 spot in the NBA draft.
Yeah, again, this is one that you thought maybe could, hopefully would, probably more than thought, I think you were hoping it was going to happen. Probably didn't think it was going to happen is where I'm trying to go with that. And I think that's kind of how this played out. Now with the next two, you got Atlanta and Dallas. I know the Atlanta pick is in right now. They're trying to figure that out as ESPN is on a commercial break as well. But this is where you hope there's a Michigan big that jumps up because you want one of those elite guards. And if you get a Michigan big up there, there's a chance you can kind of either get Flemings or a couple of those other guys that are still around. If not, you might end up with one of the Michigan bigs because that's where you're at with it. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out here in the next couple of picks.
Atlanta on the clock at number 8, Dallas after Atlanta at number 9. And then, of course, our Milwaukee Bucks will make their selection at number 10 and then later on at number 13 as well. They are slow playing this. Charlie, I don't know if we're going to be able to get in to the selection for the Atlanta Hawks. I will give them credit. I mean, they are slow playing these selections here for the NBA draft. So we'll see exactly what happens with the pick for the Atlanta Hawks. Of course, Dallas is behind them, and then our Milwaukee Bucks will certainly be breaking down those selections, paying attention to see who's available for the Bucks, who's not available for the Milwaukee Bucks. Butchie, before we go, we got about 30 seconds here, maybe not even. How much trust do you have in John Horst with these next two selections for the Bucks at 10 and 13?
Yeah, granted, the first round picks he had was not great and have not been great. But I think with 10 and 13, you've got a lot of flexibility. You can go get a flyer, and then you can go get a guy that's established. I think that helps.
He is Brian Butch, Charlie Usen, Brandon Snide here on the Pro Hoops Draft Show. The Bucks with pick number 10, number 13. All of that coming up next on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Back after this. Welcome into the third and final hour of the Pro Hoops Draft Show. Brandon Snide, Charlie Usen here. Brian Butch, of course, a part of the program tonight. 2 picks to catch you up on. Kingston Flemings, the guard from Houston, going number 8 overall to the Atlanta Hawks. We'll play the draft profiles as we play a little bit of catch up here later on. And at number 9 for the Dallas Mavericks, Morez Johnson Jr., the forward out of Michigan, goes to them at number 9. And timing just couldn't be more perfect, gentlemen, as the Bucks are officially on the clock. Butchie, give me your thoughts on Flemings to Atlanta, Johnson Jr. from Michigan to Dallas, and what the Bucks are currently looking at with the 10th overall pick as they are currently on the clock.
Yeah, I was hoping Flemings was going to be there for Milwaukee. You really like that,
Me
that
too.
pick in general, and I like what he's able to do. Morris Johnson Jr., that's the wild card because you got Berries from Arizona. At that point guard spot. Are they looking there? Shooting guard. And then we've got Sparky's guy, Nate Ahmet from Tennessee on the board right there. And I'm telling you, I like this as a flyer when you sit there. I thought that would kind of be where it is. Morris Johnson Jr. going to Dallas. Obviously, Dusty May now the head coach there. They know each other, switchable guy. 1 through, really, what Morris could do is switching 2 through 5, probably 1 through 5 at times. Like what he's been able to do, I don't know if it's exactly a 1 now at the NBA level, but at the college level, switch 1 through 5 and was elite in what he was able to do. So I think that makes sense for Dallas with Cooper Flagg there. And now it's Milwaukee, and there's options. And I don't know if they're great options. They're options. And when I say not great options, I don't think there's a clear cut, okay, this is your guy.
Sure.
I think that probably started with Dallas's pick, to be honest, right? Like there was going to be choices. Does Milwaukee go in a situation where they want to have a flyer and then go with a guy that's a little bit, you know what you're going to get? Or do they flip it around and say, hey, we want to go with maybe a Daimara and go with the guy that's 7'4" and is long and can protect the rim and is young, but with great touch. Like that's in play. I would say he's more of a polished product than Nate Ahmet, right? I think there's a process that's going to happen with Ahmet if they go there. My gut leans towards the Bucks taking Nate Ahmet. Like that's where my gut goes. And Charlie, I said that it was last week with you guys in Sparky.
Yep.
That was the one guy I brought up. I think
that's what they've saying is his floor is the Bucks, and I think the Bucks would be extremely excited if he's there at number 10 to go and take him if everybody's been talking about it being floor.
I'll say this now. I talked with one of the Bucks front office people 2 months ago, and I can say this now because it's not gonna matter. And I asked him about Nate. I said, what's your take on the Tennessee kid? And I'm telling you right now, his eyes lit up and he goes, I love him. I love him. Was the exact words. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I was calling a Hurt game. I ran into him. I said, what's your take on him? And the exact words were, I love him. So maybe that's why I'm skewed a little bit in what it is. But I just think that there's a lot of upside there. And with young players, I think you have to go with the upside here. I had 10, I think is upside. 13, I think was with the guy you can rely on.
The Bucks at number 10. Currently, the pick is in as we wait Adam Silver to take the stage.
Brandon, the reason I don't think they go with the Arizona point guard is they got the point guard of the future in the draft with the Heat.
Yakachunas, right? Yeah, correct.
I
love the 20-year-old. Yeah,
love him a lot more than I love the Arizona point guard.
And they wanted him in that, and the Heat didn't want to put him in that. They wanted Davion Mitchell a part of that. Let me ask you this, Butchie, as we still await Adam Silver to take the stage to make the selection for the Milwaukee Bucks. I have no spoilers either, so I'm doing this old school. I am awaiting for when Charlie plays the pick, and I will react live with all of you, and we can give your thoughts on the Nicolay Fan Talk and text line at 414-677-1250. Your texts are welcome. Your phone calls are welcomed. Your thoughts were over live on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe, drop your thought, drop a comment, maybe a celebration, maybe a frustration after the pick is announced. Real quickly, Butchie, as we await this pick, how much input do you think Taylor Jenkins has in these next 2 picks?
I hope he has a lot. I mean, he's the guy that's going to develop them. Now, that's the other reason I like Nate Ahmet is because Taylor Jenkins can do that. And I think that's part of it in play too. So I do think there's a lot there when you look at what he can do. But I hope there's a lot. Let's put it this way. I hope.
All right, let's head out to New York and Adam Silver as the Milwaukee Bucks with the 10th overall pick.
With the 10th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Braden Burries from the University of Arizona.
It's time for your Pro Hoops Draft Profile of Arizona guard Braden Burries. Standing at 6'4", weighing 205 pounds, he's strong, competitive two-way guard who brings toughness, versatility, and scoring ability from all three levels. He plays with a confident attacking mindset, using physicality, body control, and footwork to create efficient looks near the hoop and in the mid-range. More of a scorer and a mid-range threat than a pure perimeter shooter, he must continue to develop consistency and balance across all three levels. This Pro Hoops Draft Profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
Now, for what it's worth, Butchie and Charlie, according to ESPN, Burries was the number 8 overall prospect in the 2026 NBA Draft, and the Bucks selecting him at number 10, according to ESPN. His pro comp, Derek White of the Boston Celtics. I will take that. Butchie, let's go to you to gather your thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks selection. Braden Burries, the guard out of Arizona, a 2025-2026 first team All Big 12. And Charlie, I would love to gather your thoughts. Butchie, I'll lead with you. What are your thoughts?
I'm a little confused because you do have, Jakachonis that you just got. You've got Ryan Rollins back there. I know it was an area that they felt weak last year in. It just now feels like you're extremely heavy there for no reason. Especially when you've had bigs that are available. Mara was available at 7'4". I know this team isn't competing for championships, but it's going to have to go through Wemby at some point. You got a 7'4" guy that's available. I thought, and maybe because I'm high on Jakachonis and what he's able to do, this is a little bit of a head scratcher to me, to be completely honest. Charlie, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Brandon, but this is one where now I feel like you're extremely heavy in that position, and I don't know why.
Charlie, go for it.
I don't know. I've done 2 NFL draft shows on this station, on this network. That was the most kind of uneasy mixed reaction I think I've gotten to any draft pick that we've gotten from one of our teams. I don't love it at this point. I think there's a lot of other players that kind of what Butch was saying that fit this Bucks team a lot better. That look like they would mold better with the pieces that you just trade for. And, maybe the Bucks really wanted Jakachonis because they feel like he could be a trade piece along with the Tyler Hero. And they thought that maybe that's the most valuable guy, so that they really like Burries. We still don't know what's happening with the other part of this Heat trade, whatever is going to happen with that. So that's why I'm kind of holding my breath a little bit. At the same time, with the way that the team is currently laid out, this feels like a very strange pick to me. There was other options that I was a lot more excited about. Just hearing his name kind of made me just I don't know, not cringe, but also kind of not get excited. I don't know. I'm not.
I said this morning that I would be completely fine with the Bucks taking away what they currently have on the roster, because they are going to be rebuilding. We don't know who's going to be a part of this team in the future. I don't know if Ryan Rollins is going to be a part of this future for this organization when they actually become a competitive championship chasing type of team. And I said this morning, I would take away the positions, just take the best available. Braden Burries at number 10 was the best available. If you look at any big board, Butchie, on anybody's list, he was the best available, and you're shaking your head at me like I'm crazy. And I certainly can be classified as crazy, Butchie, but I'm fine with them taking, at the moment, the best available. You're talking about Mara defending Wemby in the NBA Finals. We got to get past the first round here yet, Butchie.
Yeah, but you got to know what you got. You have to know what you have, and I think that's the question that I have now. Is it's not like Burries was a tier 1 guy that dropped to you. That's not what this was, and I question if he was a tier 2 guy. I thought by the time right now staying at 10, you've had tier 1 and tier 2. I think we're in tier 3 right now. And I don't think there's a lot of separation from those guys. And I think that's the biggest thing. So as much as you say the best available, how much is best available? What's that separation with best available is my my thing when you say best available, because I think now we're in a pack where I don't think there's a lot of separation. I think situations will be why things get separated. And guys,
well, nothing's guaranteed, right? Like you guys would agree, nothing's guaranteed. We don't know what Yakachonis is going to be for the Milwaukee Bucks. We hope that he's going to turn into a project. I don't even want to try to say his name. Who was the guy they drafted?
Bogolyub Markovic,
the MVP. There you go. That's why Charlie's the brains of this operation. That's another obviously lottery ticket.
Bogo, you can call him.
Bogo that the Bucks are attempting to potentially wait to scratch. But you kind of said it earlier though, Butchie. You have an insurance policy, so you now have Braden Burries, who the Bucks selected at number 10 overall, and now you have Golden State on the board. It looks like their selection is in. You have OKC, and then you have, it's going to show up as Miami, but it is going to be the selection for the Milwaukee Bucks. So you're going to get, I still think, I understand where you guys are both coming from, but you're going to get two potential pieces to help build out this roster and help build out what you anticipate to be the foundation piece of a rebuild in Taylor Jenkins and people that are currently on the roster. And I'm including, we'll see what they do with KPJ and what KPJ wants to do with the Bucks. And obviously Ryan Rollins, but I don't know outside of that. We don't know anything necessarily. We don't know what Yakachonis is going to be. We don't know what Bogo is going to be. I think, is that the nickname we're giving him? We don't know what these guys are going to be. I'm fine with selecting, Braden Burries, who was the best available, depending on what you're looking at. And across the board, he seemed to be the best available.
This is my issue at 10. All right. And we'll see what happens at 13. This is the play, right? I think Burries is a safe pick. I think he's a safe pick. I think he's going to be a rotational player. I think he's going to be a really good role player. I think he's going to be a two-way guy. I don't know if where's the star power? Stars win in this league. That's why I say it. That's why I'm saying it. Like, you have to have a star to win. That's the reality of what the NBA is. Right now, there is not a star. I don't see Burries becoming a star. See him becoming a really nice player. See him becoming Ryan Rollins. There's some other guys that I thought on the board at 10. You could take a little bit of a gamble and shake the dice and see what you can get there. I think that's the other thing is, like, Burries, when you look at him, what do you average? 2.5 assists a game? Like, that's on a really good Arizona team. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's to me a little bit of a situation. He can get downhill. He's physical. Like, all that stuff is there. I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't think he's going to be an elite player.
Over on the live YouTube chat, Mr. JD says, love the pick. On the other hand, on the Nicolay fan talk and text line at 414-677-1250. Butchie, this is from Ziggy from the 262. Why are we drafting freshmen? Are we playing the developmental game and have a top 10 pick playing in the G League for 3 years? Would have preferred some more experience rather than high ceiling. It is worth noting he is the 7th freshman selected in the lottery as we head out back.
I'm going to jump on that one. Like, you're going to come on. Come on. Tell me you haven't watched college basketball or the NBA. Like, the freshman here this is the year to pick the freshman. The freshman class was ridiculously good. Like, so that take, come on.
Don't disagree. Let's head back out to New York as Adam Silver with the Golden State Warriors pick.
With the 11th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Yaxel Lendeborg from the University of Michigan.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Michigan forward Yaxel Lendeborg. Standing at 6'9", weighing 240 pounds, he is known for his leadership, communication, and playmaking ability. Lendeborg thrives as a connector on the court. His rebounding, defensive anticipation, and ability to stretch the floor, though inconsistent, are valuable attributes. However, improving his shooting consistency, particularly off the dribble from mid-range, will be crucial for his development. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
All right, Charlie Butchie, the dream is dead for Yaxel at number 13, as I was hoping he may fall for the Bucks. Butchie, your thoughts on Yaxel Lendeborg going to the Golden State Warriors, the forward from Michigan?
Yeah, no, I mean, for Golden State, what did we talk about when we talked about Yaxel? I said maturity. Well, he needs to go to a team that, got some vets.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
I think Golden State's got some vets. I think
a few of them.
It's a good spot.
And And they've done all right when you talk about guys that are kind of that tweener distributors, does a little bit of everything. Draymond Green, right? Like this is the new Draymond Green. This is the young Draymond Green, is a better shooter, better like all of that. I thought Yaxel did a really good job this year of developing a shot to create more value for himself. That was an area where he needed to really improve. He did this season. If I'm Golden State, I'm really thrilled with where that's with where this pick is. Obviously, he's the oldest guy in the draft as well. Been around college a long time. But if you're Golden State, you don't really worry about that. Can he help you now? The answer to that is yes.
Let's head out to the phone lines. Trell on the north side of Milwaukee. Dial 414-677-1250. Trell, good evening. Your thoughts so far at number 10. How you feeling right now as the NBA draft is underway?
Hey, how you gentlemen doing? I really like it. I think John Horst is doing the clinic right now a little bit, because I was just thinking, because I didn't think Brandon Burris was going to make it to 10. But when I seen that that Dallas made the pick, I think the guy from Dallas, he was like an unexpected pick in the top 10 to me. I'm like, oh, my God, bro. I said, but the Bucks really want a mint. But John Horst knew that Golden State or OKC not going to pick a mint, but it's a chance one of them might pick Berries. So he picked Berries at 10. I'm guaranteed the Bucks are going to pick Nathan Mint at 13, because OKC's probably going to pick Adamara, the big guy from
Michigan, yeah, Adamara, yep.
And then 13, the Bucks are going to pick Nathan Mint, which I was like skeptical a little bit, but I started doing some research and watching him a little bit. You got to pick a guy who's high ceiling like that, and I think Berries is more of a guy who's kind of ready and grew into who he is, even though he's a freshman. He averaged about 16 points for Arizona last year. Pretty good prospect. But a Mint is a guy that's kind of a wild card still. And I think they got to pick him at 13. I think that's what's going to happen. So I was excited to see that. Because I'm like, look at John Horst busting moves. Because I'm like, I thought Golden State would pick that guy from Michigan because he's more of one of them. He reminds me of Draymond Green, but he's a little more skilled than Draymond Green. So I'm like, yeah, that's probably their pick. And then I knew OKC, like I said, probably going to pick the big man. And I'm guaranteed probably Nathan Mint's going to be there for the Bucks, and they're going to select him. I'd be very surprised if they don't, but I'm guessing they're going to select him from all the buzz I read about the research throughout the process. So,
thanks for the call, Trell. Trell's my guy. I completely agree with him. Like, you take the guy who's the best available, has a high ceiling, can grow into who the Bucks hope him to become, and obviously working with Taylor Jenkins, as we mentioned, Butchie is going to have his hands obviously full with developing these guys over the course. But do you agree there, Butchie, with Trell that Ament could be the pick at 13 if he is still available? As Oklahoma City Thunder, they are on the clock. The pick is in. We're still waiting for Adam Silver to make the official announcement. We're going to stay here through the Bucks. It's going to say Miami Heat, but it is going to be the Bucks selection at number 13. So we're going to stay here. But your thoughts on Trell, kind of feeling good about the pick for Burries there at number 10, and then also the possibilities at number 13 for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Brandon, I was going to take him at 10. So, of course, if you can get him at 13, I'm happy about it. Like, to me, I still think that's in play. And what happened is you rolled the dice, if that's the way it goes. I know, like I said, I know how Milwaukee feels about him. Now, we'll see if that's how they still feel about him as they've worked out and done some different things there. But if he's on the board, I think now – I thought you take a flyer first and a safe guy later. It looks like maybe Milwaukee's going to switch that a little bit and take the safe guy first and then go after the flyer. But with these two picks as close as they are, what it gives you is flexibility. And what it gives you is the ability to read the board. And I think that's the biggest thing when you look at it. Golden State, what it needs to do. In Oklahoma City, what did they have trouble with? They had trouble with Wemby. Yeah. And it makes sense. Now we'll see if Oklahoma. That's the only thing that made me nervous about the trade with Miami is who was ahead of you, because Oklahoma City's done a really good job drafting. They've done a really good job of being able to handle stuff. You look at front offices, Oklahoma City's right on top of it as far as a team that you are a little bit nervous when they're on the clock, because they don't really have any needs. So they can kind of go in any direction they want. 7-4 is going to help against Wemby. So that is kind of where I look at it as well, knowing that that's a deal. But and then if the Bucks, if it Mets there, I just think that I think there's too much upside to let him go. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a team that is going to go through highs and lows throughout the course of the season. Obviously, when you trade away Giannis and you essentially welcome in a rebuild, Ousmane Dieng will be a part of that. You would anticipate he is a restricted free agent as we have the 12th overall selection. Let's head out, Charlie, out to New York as Adam Silver will make the 12th overall selection for OKC.
With the 12th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Adai Mara from Zaragoza, Spain, and the University of Michigan.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Michigan center Adai Mara. Standing at 7'3", weighing 255 pounds, Mara immediately impacts both ends of the floor with his sheer presence and natural feel for the game. Offensively, he's comfortable facilitating from the high post, elbows, and short roll, displaying touch and vision uncommon for a player his size. Mara lacks quickness and space and can be exposed in the pick and roll coverages and transition. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
There you have it. Mara going from Michigan to OKC, the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year a season ago. Will certainly have his hands full against Wemby and the Spurs, as you would anticipate. Those two teams will continue to go back and forth. Butchie, I'll get into your thoughts. Charlie, I want to get you back into the program. Your thoughts on how the board has now fallen for the Bucks with Mara off of the board going to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I mean, that leaves Ament, doesn't it? Like
Certainly
that's
does.
it. I don't really think there's anybody else underneath that, especially looking at the big board just one more time before we get to the pick here. That really strikes me as a player that can come in and truly be a part of this Bucks future. He's the closest thing to that, and I don't even really love him. But the fact that he's sitting here at 13, I think is huge for this team. Like I mentioned before, if the Bucks really loved him and had him as a floor at 10, I trust kind of what their direction is here. And if he's going to be there at 13, that's got to be a steal of the draft. Like that's going to be really important that this team knows how much they love him and knows that they have to then go and develop a really kind of rough player that has a lot of tools that I think they can work with, but he's a young guy that's going to have a lot to build on. It's going to be an interesting pick.
Mara goes to Oklahoma City at pick number 12. The Miami Heat / Milwaukee Bucks are now on the clock at pick number 13. Butcher, you kind of called this one before it was selected, but still want to gather your thoughts after Mara goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder with the 12th overall selection.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what the Bucks looked at, philosophy-wise, as far as, okay, you know kind of what is going to happen there as far as what Oklahoma City needs. Again, it's a 7-game series against the Spurs. You're going to need length. We know Wemby's not going anywhere. You go and get that. I think where this change was Morris Johnson Jr. going to Dallas at 9. That's where it gave you an option. I think if Morris Johnson Jr. doesn't go there, Burries is taken by Dallas. Now all of a sudden, Ahmet is picked at 10. And now the question becomes, like I said, I think this is the thing, Charlie and Brandon, we all said it, like, I think Burries is a safe pick. I don't think it's let's see what happens. I think it's a safe pick. And now you're on the clock with the pick for Giannis, with a player that is thin, available, with a high upside that had, I'm not even going to compare the two. Sorry, I had to go down that road a little bit. But Nate Ahmed is a guy with a lot of high upside, with a lot of, he's skinny right now, needs to put on some weight. All that stuff is in play. But I just think in what he's able to do, I just feel like it's got to be him. I know Carr from Baylor had a really good showing as well in the draft combine. I know that's a guy that really, has skyrocketed in the air, that could kind of be in that same mold a little bit. But I just look at it and say, your Michigan 3 are gone. I don't like Steinbach a whole lot from Washington. I think he's very solid, but I question that if he has that pop as a center. I think he's really skilled, but I don't know if he has that pop. And guys, it comes down to this as well. You need a superstar. Now it's taken really long for this pick to get in, as we've got 55 seconds left. And I wonder,
do you think there's a possibility that there's a discussion with the trade going on? Because it is,
absolutely.
It is interesting that this one has decided to take the longest out of the, I would assume, the last handful as they go to a television break. We're going to stay right here throughout this pick, though. We're not going to take a break because I am not risking what could potentially happen with the Milwaukee Bucks at number 13. It is Miami that will, quote unquote, make the trade. It is obviously a reported trade. It's not official to the new league year on July 6th. So you're going to see a Miami Heat hat likely on the prospect. If they are there attending the NBA draft, you're going to hear, obviously, Adam Silver announce that it is the Miami Heat. It is going to be, obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to stay put right here. I know they selected Burries at number 8. Is this completely for you guys, for both you guys, and Butchie, I'll start with you, take LeBaron Fayan out of the discussion for the Milwaukee Bucks, the guard out of Alabama?
Well, last time I did a show with Sparky, a draft show, it was back when Minnesota drafted 3 point guards with Johnny Flynn and Ricky Rubio. And
you're aging yourself here.
Oh, I am. So last time I did a draft show on this station, I saw something I didn't think I'd ever see again. So I don't want to say no, it doesn't. I hope it's the case though. I hope that doesn't happen. So I think it does. If we're just talking through this here a little bit, I think you've got to look more at that shooting guard position that's out there. And to me, that's where it is. I think that point guard position kind of is out of play right now. Unless you've got plans of moving Ryan Rollins, unless that's the plan and you want to go ultra young in that backcourt. But I don't think I see that coming, to be honest.
Well, and you have to have so much value with Ryan Rollins for that to be the case too, which I just don't think there is that much interest across the league. I think a lot of teams look at Ryan Rollins last season, yes, say he's improved for sure, but at the same time was an improvement out of just opportunity a lot of the times, especially in the middle of the season when Giannis isn't on the court. Does he just end up with the ball in his hands a little bit more? And I think a lot of teams are going to come back to the Bucks and say that and lower his value a little bit in their minds. So if they're trading him, it has to be for a team that's in love with him, and I just don't think there's that team out there.
Charlie, I said it all the time. Ryan Rollins, I think, is really good. I think Ryan Rollins benefited from Giannis being hurt a lot and having the ball and being a playmaker. And credit the kid for taking advantage of what was in front of him.
For sure.
Hey, he made himself a lot of money. There's no doubt.
Well, and he played with that shoulder injury, the year before that, before last year, before making that money. So Ryan Rollins, I don't think he's necessarily going anywhere. I know we had the discussion of, is there a logjam potentially at the guard position for the Milwaukee Bucks? I always tend to just lean, and I say the same thing when it comes to the major league draft, to the NFL draft. Is usually more times than not, these things tend to work themselves out. I'd be completely fine with the Milwaukee Bucks again, just taking the best player available as the pick is currently in. We're awaiting Adam Silver to come back to the stage and onto the screen as we are in a television timeout, but we're not going anywhere because we are not going to miss this selection. We'll break down this pick. We'll take a break after that. Butchie, let me ask you this, because you've been around the NBA for a long time. You've obviously talked to a lot of scouts. You've talked to a lot of front office personnel. How much trust should Bucks fans have or not have in what is now going to be the rebuild with no Giannis under John Horst?
Yeah, I think you've got to have some trust there. And the reason I say that you got to have some trust there is, have the draft picks been hit always? No, they haven't.
No.
Well, those are facts. That's not, but has he taken enough big swings to say, hey, you know what? He wants to be all in what he's doing. He's going to give the Bucks a chance to be successful. That's what I look at. Now, the thing that we haven't seen, because there's no track record of this, is John Horst in a rebuild, right? We haven't really seen that because they've had Giannis. So he hasn't necessarily had to operate in a rebuild. So that when you're drafting that way, you're drafting a little bit different. You might want to try to take some flowers. The area that I thought the Bucks needed to do was operate more and get some, guys that were solid players first versus some guys with some bigger upside, but they didn't do that. And now they're, sitting here at 13 in this pick. And, again, I think there's a lot of interesting things with it that are ahead. We'll see.
All right, let's head out. You mentioned pick 13. Let's head out to Adam Silver making the selection for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Select.
With the 13th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Miami Heat select Nate Ament from the University of Tennessee.
It's time for your Pro Hoops draft profile of Tennessee forward Nate Ament. Standing at 6'10", weighing 207 pounds, he's a long, skilled forward whose blend of size, mobility, and perimeter ability make him one of the more intriguing long-term prospects. Ament runs the floor well, handles smoothly for his size, and projects as a legitimate floor spacing forward. His development will hinge on embracing physicality, improving efficiency, and solidifying his offensive identity. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
There you have it, Butchie. They made the selection. Sparky somewhere is punching air as the Bucks do select Ament out of Tennessee, the 2025-26 second team All-SEC. His pro comp, according to ESPN.com, a bigger Harrison Barnes. Butchie, your thoughts on the selection for John Horst, his second selection, as Braden Burries was the first one at number 10, and now Ament at number 13 for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I love it. I told you I thought they loved him. I think Burries is there, so they grab him when you can. I think he's solid. I don't think he's great. I think Ament has a chance to be elite. I do. Like I said, I've had a chance on my podcast, Butchie's Den, to talk with Tanner Bronson, the South Carolina assistant coach there. He gave me a great scouting report too about what that is. I'm going to get that, but not just for me, but I think this is a pick that is really, really good in what they're trying to do.
Yeah, 3-and-D type player out there in Tennessee. Again, you select Burries out of Arizona. You select Ament out of Tennessee. Big-time programs, obviously, in college basketball. It's another youth pick for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's 19 years old. There's a lot of upside when it comes to him. Butchie, you mentioned got to obviously add to his game, has to grow in to become the player for the Milwaukee Bucks. Charlie, your thoughts on the selection for John Horst and the Bucks at 13?
We talk about it being a youth pick, but I'm not as, I guess, stressed about this one working out as an AJ Johnson coming out of the G League or playing in Australia. Like, I don't have as much of an issue with this pick as some of these other players that John Horst has gone with in this spot in the past. I feel more comfortable with this pick. And again, talking about what I was saying before with how he fell in this draft and how the Bucks were rating him before, according to multiple sources, I feel really good about this pick. I think I feel better about this pick at 13 than I do about the pick of Burries at 10. And I think that's something to be said about, like Trell was saying, the Bucks going and finding kind of a game plan where they can take somebody that one of these other teams is looking at and kind of set the board how they want it for that 13th pick moving forward. I think the way you saw the draft room for the Golden State Warriors when they were making their pick, it didn't seem like they were really excited to me about taking Yaxel Lendenberg. Not that the Bucks draft room was showing a lot of emotion either. It also looked like a bunch of kids that were younger than me. I'm 24 and it felt like all those dudes looked like they were 18. But at the same time, it just felt like the Bucks, like Trell said, we're playing this little bit of a game. They had a plan. We'll see how this plan plays out. I'm not overly excited, but I feel comfortable with this draft.
Braden Burries, selection at number 10 for the Bucks. Nate Ament, the selection at 13 for Milwaukee in the reported trade with the Miami Heat. We'll still discuss these two selections coming up on the other side of the break. We'll continue to go pick by pick up until 9 o'clock as the first round of the NBA draft is underway. You're listening to the Pro Hoops Draft Show with Brian Butch, Charlie Usen, me, Brandon Stein, and we'll break down some more picks coming up next on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Welcome back into the Pro Hoops Draft Show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. The Bucks selecting Braden Burries at number 10, the guard out of Arizona. Nate Ament, the forward out of Tennessee, at number 13. Charlie, before we get out of here, because this Brewer game is about to wrap up, let's check back in with Adam Silver making another selection, 14th overall.
We have a trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Miami Heat are trading to Milwaukee Bucks the draft rights to Nate Ament, the 13th pick. And with the 14th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Hannes Steinbach from Würzburg, Germany, and the University of Washington.
Washington forward Hannes Steinbach, standing 6'11", weighing 220 pounds. His footwork stands out, allowing him to finish efficiently around the rim and stay composed under pressure. He's shown flashes of shooting ability and passing touch, particularly as a high post facilitator, and plays with a mature sense of purpose that belies his age. Continued improvement as a shooter and perimeter defender will be key in determining the ceiling of which he can reach in the NBA. This Pro Hoops draft profile is provided by BabcockHoops.com.
There you have it, Butchie. We are 14 picks in. The Brewer game is officially over. My guy, Tommy Wartz, and Tim Allen on deck for the Potawatomi post-game show. Let's put a bow on this, Butchie. Your overall thoughts on the Milwaukee Bucks draft. Braden Burries at 10, Nate Ament at 13. If you flip-flopped them, does it make you feel better, Butchie?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just my philosophy.
So let's just pretend that's what happened.
Yeah, no, but I mean, overall, I'm happy with the picks. I think when you look at this, you get a guy that is a flyer, and then Brandon Burries and what he's able to do, or Burries, and what he's able to do is a guy that I think is a very, very safe pick, which ultimately you need. And I think there's some upside there. I think you can develop. A lot of those guards do, but I think the corner piece of what could be your future is Nate Ament. And I think that gives you a chance to find a superstar, which ultimately is where the Bucks are at.
I really like the draft from the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll make it short and sweet. You took the best available in both picks at number 10, at number 13. Charlie, before we get out of here, your thoughts overall on what the Milwaukee Bucks and John Horst did. Stop shaking your head.
I'll take it. I'll take it with what you got. Like that's.
If I told you Nate Ament went at 10 and Braden Burries went at 13, you'd feel better. You'd be like, "Wow, that was pretty
Not
good."
really. Like I said before, I think I kind of feel better that Nate Ament fell that far, and he was kind of a steal a little bit. Like I don't know, it makes the storyline for Nate Ament a little bit better in my mind.
Good luck with Sparky tomorrow. I'm sure. I'm sure he will be thrilled. Brian Butch, my thanks to you. My thanks to Charlie. My thanks to all of you for listening in to the Pro Hoops Draft Show as the Bucks select Braden Burries at 10 and Nate Ament at 13. The Brewers get the victory, a 2-0 win over the Reds out there in Cincinnati. My guy, Tommy Wartz and Tim Allen with the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show coming up next on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.